Hey, this is Cosmic Gate. We hope you enjoyed our set from Puerto Vallarta and the world premiere of our new single, We Got the Fight.
Yes, it drops this Friday. Press the link and save it now.
Alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. How's everyone doing today? Did you rest well? Excited for the second day? Okay. So, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the second day of the inaugural conference of Saudi Youth for Sustainability. So we have been talking about sustainability since yesterday, and you've obviously registered to talk about sustainability. And sustainability is about every one of us, no exceptions. And it would only make sense that we would try to make our world a better place. Or at least, if we cannot do that, to try to reduce the harmful impacts that we leave behind.
And to dig deep into this journey, we are glad to have Mr. Majid Al-Asfour, General Manager for Strategy and Alignment in Sustainable Development at the Ministry of Economy and Planning, and Dr. Lina Ayuni, the Environmental Physics Science Manager at the Red Sea Development Company, to moderate this session.
Okay, thank you. تفضلي.
السلام عليكم، أهلا وسهلا فيكم. يعني حقيقة من كل قلبي أنا سعيدة أن أنا أشوف الناس اللي مهتمين بالاستدامة موجودين في كاوست، ومن هنا أحب أرحب بضيفنا في هذا الحوار، حاصل على درجة الماجستير في إدارة الأعمال من الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية. عمل أيضاً في العديد من المجالات في القطاعين العام والخاص. نشأ لديه الحب والشغف للاستدامة ومفهومها عندما التحق بوزارة الاقتصاد والتخطيط عام 2016. عمل لديهم مديراً عاماً للموائمة والاستراتيجية، وعمل أيضاً في مسؤوليات التنمية المستدامة في المملكة العربية السعودية. هو أيضاً عضو في العديد من اللجان المحلية الإقليمية والدولية ذات الشأن المتعلق بالتنمية، وقال أيضاً أنه يحب الفنون وعلى الأخص التصوير والرسم والخط العربي. يعني يقول إن شاء الله أنه ما شاء الله تبارك الله طاقة ضيفنا مستدامة يعني داخلياً وخارجياً. فنرحب بأستاذ ماجد العصفور. حكينا لو سمحت عن نفسك.
السلام عليكم جميعاً، مساء الخير، يعطيكم العافية. بداية أنا أحب أوجه شكر خاص لكاوس المقيمين على المنتدى اليوم والكرم، كرم الضيافة. بس لتصحيح المعلومة، أنا حالياً تركت وزارة الاقتصاد والتخطيط. لا أحد يسألني عن الوزارة، لا أحد يقول لي تسألوني إيش سويت، حاضر. تسألوني الحين إيش قاعد يصير، هذا خارج نطاق عملي. طبعاً اليوم راح ناخذكم في رحلة بسيطة عن الاستدامة من الناحية الإنسانية أكثر من الناحية الفنية ولا ناحية معلومات ولا ناحية داتا. الزملاء الحمد لله خلال الفترة ولا بالأمس السيشنز غطوا جوانب كثيرة من الاستدامة. فاليوم ناخذكم بمفهوم ولا بعد يمكن ما حتطرق له في السيشنز اللي راحت، وإن شاء الله يعني نؤدي الأمانة بإذن الله.
طيب، أول شيء بس بدي أقول حاجة، يعني إحنا حتكون interactive session، يعني فإذا في أي أسئلة بليز في مايك هنا وفي مايك هنا، يعني قوموا اسألونا. طيب، بس أسأل في البداية كيف يعني نقدر نستفيد أو نفعل طاقة الاستدامة، بما أن مفهومها حسب ما تحدثت معك قبل السيشن هو ليس المفهوم الدارج اللي له علاقة فقط بالبيئة.
طبعا خلينا نرمي سؤال كذا على الجمهور. وزي ما تفضل الدكتورة this is more of an interactive session، فخلوا الكلام حب يبد ودي بيننا وبينكم. جميل. لما نتكلم عن الاستدامة ممكن أكثر الفهم يروح إلى الناحية البيئية، إعادة تدوير، استدامة موارد، استدامة طاقة متجددة، وهنا فيكم الخير والبركة في كاوست في التكنيكاليتي بتدخلوا لنا التفاصيل. بس لما نيجي نتكلم عن الاستدامة بمفهومها الشامل، خاصة بتعريف الأمم المتحدة، والأحد أهم الأهداف في التنمية المستدامة هو عدم تخلف أحد عن الركب، بالإنجليزي to leave no one behind. هل في أحد هنا ممكن يعرف لي إيش معنى عدم تخلف أحد عن الركب؟ ولو بكلمة بسيطة مثلا. هل في أحد سمع؟ أنا أشوف في علامات استفهام. عدم تخلف أحد عن الركب، الركب هذه باللغة العربية ترجمة اليو ان to leave no one behind. This is the objective. هذا هو هدف الاستدامة. إيش معنى to leave no one behind؟ ما أسمع.
معلش ممكن بس عشان الجميع يسمعك.
الهدف يكون واحد للجميع. شلون يعني؟ عادي اليوم سوالف اليوم. اليوم نطلع من هنا كلنا نعرف استدامة.
إنه كلنا تكون قضيتنا واحدة.
إن كلنا يكون قضيتنا واحدة.
أيوة.
بغض النظر عن أنا أمثل إيش وأنت تمثلي
أيوة.
إيش.
كلنا نكون مع بعض.
جميل. بعد غيره. تفضل. شغلوا له المايك الله يخليكم.
من يشتغل؟
صرخ. طيب أنا
نشر الوعي للناس كافة.
نشر الوعي للناس كافة.
نعم.
جميل. إيش بعد؟ في ثاني؟
إنه ما حد يكون أفضل من أحد، مثلا من ناحية التعليم الكل
جميل.
يكون عنده تعليم، الكل مثلا يكون عنده البيسك نيد زي إنه عنده أكل، عنده ماء، يعني ما في بشر وراء يعني
جميل.
بشر آخر.
جميل جدا. جميل جدا. طبعا عدم تخلف أحد عن الركب زي ما تفضلت الأخت الكريمة. في عندنا شخص ثاني. تفضل.
يا تساهم يا تخلي العجلة تمشي لا توقفها.
تفضل.
هو انك تركز مو بس بالانسانيه، بكل جهه او كل قسم في المجتمع، حيوانات، بيئه، يعني كل النواحي، مو بس تركز على شيء واحد تترك البقيه.
جميل جدا. جميل جدا. طبعا استشعار هذه النقطة. تفضلي. ناخذ آخر واحدة الحين خلاص، بعدين الباقي كلكم we leave you behind.
التركيز على الأهداف بعيدة المدى، بحيث إنه ما حد يترك خلينا نقول في الأهداف القديمة أو عدم مشمول في الأهداف المستقبل.
جميل. جميل جدا. يعطيكم العافية جميعا. طبعا أجندة التنمية المستدامة، أنا ليش قاعد أتكلم عن أشياء أساسية هنا؟ لأن هذه مهمة. هذه هي خلينا نقول الجراوند، هذه هي البنية التحتية لفهم الاستدامة. الاستدامة مفهوم قديم، بدأ من الثمانينات، وكان ماخذ الطابع البيئي أكثر من أي طابع آخر. مع الفترة اكتشفنا كبشر أن احنا قاعدين نستخدم موارد الكرة الأرضية بشكل غير مستدام. لو ظلينا بنفس خلينا نقول الرتم اللي نستخدم فيه الموارد في غضون فترة معينة، ما في كوكب أرض، ما في بشر. هذه بأبسط التعاريف. جميل. طيب إيش دخل عدم تخلف أحد عن الركب ولا to leave no one behind في موارد الأرض المحدودة؟ احنا نعيش في كوكب محدود الموارد. البشر قاعد يعني خلينا نقول عدد سكان البشر قاعد يرتفع بشكل كبير خلال فترة قصيرة، يعني بحلول عام 2050 بيوصل عدد سكان الأرض 10 مليار، وإحنا عندنا موارد محدودة في الكرة الأرضية عشان نحن نستخدمها ونخلي هذول يعيشوا بأمن وسلام، بدون حروب، بدون مجاعات، بدون. فطريقة التفكير هذه اللي كنا نستخدم فيها نستهلك فيها الموارد لازم تتغير. طريقة استخدام للموارد هذه تركت شريحة كبيرة من سكان الكرة الأرضية تحت شيء يسموه الفقر إيش باللغة العربية المدقع، اللي هو الإكستريم بوفرتي. صح ولا لا؟ طلعت أول أجندة في عام 2000 يسموها الأجندة الألفية، إن احنا إن احنا نتخلص من الفقر المدقع هذا الإكستريم بوفرتي، نحطه على جنب. بعدين جت التنمية المستدامة الأخرى، الأهداف التنمية المستدامة 17 عام 2015 أيضا كان فيها to eradicate poverty، تخلص من الفقر. طيب تخلص من الفقر وعدم تخلف أحد عن الركب، إيش معنى هذا الكلام؟ أذكر في الصف الأول متوسط، لما كنت في صف أول متوسط كان مادة الحاسب الآلي كانت اختيارية، كانت دوبها في المدارس الحكومية دوبها تدخل. جابوا لنا لاب نزلوه تحت، حطوا لنا كم بي سي، البي سي القديم إذا تذكروه اللي يجيك كذا بالعرض وعليه الشاشة الكبيرة اللي فوق. وبما أن المدرسة حكومية وكانت هذه يمكن اجتهاد من المدرسة أن تجيب كمبيوترز وتعلم الطلاب، كان الواحد إذا يبغى يتعلم الكلاس هذا كان مرة حصة في الأسبوع، يوم الأربعاء نهاية الدوام لما كانت الويكند أربعاء وخميس. مين لحق على الويكند أربعاء وخميس؟ حلو يعني مو بس
كبار.
جميل جدا. كان أول مرة يعطونا بي سي ذيك الأيام، وإذا تبغى تروح تكون جزء من هذا الكلاس تدفع 50 ريال. حلو؟ 50 ريال ولا شيء، صح ولا لا؟ انك تتعلم بي سي وتتعلم تايبنج وتتعلم هذه الاشياء. انا كنت من الناس اللي I could not afford this. انا كنت من الناس اللي ما كان عندي ال50 ريال هذه، مو انا، اهلي ما كان عندهم 50. فكنت انا من الناس اللي لما يجي وقت هذا الفصل الكل ينزل على المختبر وانا جالس. وكان حتى احيانا امر بموقف محرج، يجي المدرس ها مين اللي ما قط، ويطلع الطالب اللي ياخذ القطيه على قولتهم ويقول ماجد، فيجيني المدرس قدام الطلاب ماجد ليش ما قطيت؟ بكره تجيب ال50. طبعا من داخل تحر، من داخل الموضوع يحزن، من داخل يقهر ان الكل عنده الفرصه انه يتعلم وانا ما عندي، حتى ما كان عندي بي سي في البيت. هذا الشعور داخليا هذا يمر في كثير من الناس. هذا معناته to leave somebody behind in one dimension. لأن أنا الحمد لله كان عندنا أكل، كان عندنا بيت، كان عندنا مواصلات، كان عندنا، بس إنه ينقصني 50 ريال عشان إنه أتعلم فرصة معينة في المدرسة، هذه ما كانت موجودة. لو تدروا قد إيش الفرحة عندي لما أول ما صار عندنا بي سي في البيت، صرت أقعد عليه أبغى أتعلم حتى البرمجة ذاك الوقت من القهر اللي داخل. المايند سيت ولا خلينا نقول تفكير الناس لما يجي للاستدامة لازم ياخذ الطابع الإنساني، إن في كل منطقة، في كل دولة، في كل مكان في مجموعة من الناس راح تتخلف عن الركب شئنا أم أبينا. إذا إحنا ما حطينا الناس هذه في منتصف دائرة الاستدامة إحنا ما راح نحقق الاستدامة لا على المدى القصير ولا على المدى الطويل. الحمد لله احنا في دولة في المملكة دولة كريمة، ما عندنا فقر مدقع ولله الحمد. بس هل عندنا فقر؟ عندنا فقر. هل في ناس ما عندها خلينا نقول accessibility لتعليم، ولا ما عندها طرق مواصلات، ولا ما عندها مهارة معينة؟ موجودين. احنا إذا ما وعينا لهذه النقطة مع السلامة استدامة. أنا لما أجي أقعد مع واحد فقير وأجي أقول له ترى في climate change، في تغير مناخي، وفي هو الحين يدوب يشوف قوت يومه ولا بكرة شنو بياكل ولا بياكل ولا لا. أجي أتكلم معاه عن تغير مناخي، ولا أجي أتكلم معاه عن إعادة تدوير؟ يا أبو الشباب والله أنت قاعد تشرب من البلاستيك بعدين ترميه. اللي الناس ما تحس فيه أن الشخص لما يكون تحت حاجة يكون تحت ضغط يسمى بالإنجليزي tunnel vision، أن الشيء الوحيد اللي يشوفه هو احتياجه الحالي. مستحيل biologically speaking ولا خلينا نقول حتى من الناحية النفسية مستحيل الشخص اللي عنده حاجة يشوف خارج إطار هذه الحاجة. وللأسف معظمنا ما ينتبه لهذا الشيء ويعتقد أن الشخص بحكم أنه هو عنده حاجة يقدر يستوعب أشياء أخرى. واقعا لا. فتخيلوا يعني شخص مثلي أنا في عام 1995 96 ماني شيبة ترى الحمد لله لسه شباب، حلو، يواجه مشكلة زي كذا واضطر اني اشتغل وعمري 12 سنة. التجربة هذه يمكن خلتني انا من الناس اللي على قولتهم ما ياخذ الشيء فور جرانتد على قولتهم، من هذه الاشياء اللي نحصل عليها كأكل، كمبلغ، كملبس، هذه الاشياء واجب علينا ان نشكرها. بس الشكر ما يجي ان الحمد لله لك يا رب وخلاص بوس يدك قدام ورا وانتهى الموضوع. الشكر ما هو كلام، الشكر هو أن الواحد يقدر النعمة اللي هو فيها ويعرف كيف يتصرف فيها، وكيف أن هي شيء مسؤول، وكيف أن هذه الأشياء مسؤولية على الشخص، مسؤولية على المجتمع، مسؤولية على العائلة. هنا هذه هي الاستدامة الحقيقية. هنا تبدأ الاستدامة. أما أجي وأقول ريسايكل وأقول كلايمت تشينج، هذه أشياء مهمة جدا، أنا ما أتكلم أن هذه الأشياء غير مهمة، لكن تبدأ من الفرد، تبدأ بمعرفتنا أن إحنا إذا نبغى نحقق الاستدامة لازم نبدأ من الصفر، نبدأ من الناس للناس، عشان إني أثقف وأوعي وأقيس على هذا المثال على الأشياء الأخرى. الناس اللي عندها أمراض، الناس اللي عندها إعاقة، الناس اللي ما عندها كهرباء، الناس اللي ما عندها، لأن الفقر ما هو بس عدم وجود أكل ولا أنا ما عندي مبلغ مادي معين، الفقر له أبعاد. إذا ما تخلصنا من الفقر، إذا ما تخلصنا من الناس اللي عندهم من العوامل اللي تخلي الناس عندها احتياج معين، مع سلامة استدامة. هذه كبداية. أنا طبعا كتجربة ما كنت أوعى ولا ما كنت عارف إيش معنى استدامة إلا في الماجستير. الماجستير لما تعلمت إيش معنى استدامة بمبدأها، خلينا نقول البيئي البحت. كنا ندرس في الجامعة وجونا المدرسين وقالوا الهدف من أي بزنس هو زيادة عدد الشير هولدرز وزيادة الأرباح حق الشركة. بعد فترة يمكن تطور الموضوع وصار في مبدأ اسمه استدامة، وطلع كلايمت تشينج، وجانا مدرس التسويق وطلع لنا فيديو قال شوفوا الدب القطبي الثلج اللي حواليه قاعد يذوب وما يقدر يرجع لأهله. في ذاك الوقت المقطع ممكن يلمس بعض الناس، بس أنا كشخص ما يعني لي شيء. أنا جاي رايح أدرس وتعبان على نفسي وصارف ومسوي فاعل وسكالرشيب، ويعني a lot of challenges، تحديات كبيرة. تيجي تقول لي استدامة، ما أستوعب. بس لما جيت السعودية، لما بدينا بالاستدامة في وزارة الاقتصاد، وعرفنا أن للاستدامة جانب إنساني، يبدأ من الناس اللي ممكن تتخلف عن الركب، الناس اللي عندها احتياج، بعدين يكبر يلمس جوانب أخرى، جانب بيئي، جانب اقتصادي. إحنا إذا ما عالجنا الجانب الاجتماعي كبداية، لا البيئة ولا الاقتصادي نقدر نحققه، لأن في النهاية مين اللي راح يشتغل على الأشياء هذه؟ إحنا كبشر. وإحنا بصريح العبارة أقوى شيء فينا، ولا خليني أشوف كيف بالإنجليزي the strongest link among us is the weakest. هذه كذا يقولوها صح ولا لا؟ إحنا
أقوى رابط بيننا ضعفنا.
أقوى رابط بيننا هو الحلقة الأضعف. لو كنا إحنا كلنا جروب وماسكين سلسلة، أقوى شيء فينا هو أضعف حلقة. إذا ما if we don't take care of this weak link إحنا نظل ضعفاء. فطالما لدينا ناس سواء في السعودية أو خارج السعودية متخلفين عن الركب، نظل ضعفاء. والاستدامة هذه سلم عليها. ممكن كل يوم نتكلم عن ريسايكلينج ونتكلم عن هذا، بس إذا ما ندري جاري محتاج ولا لا، إذا الحي اللي جنبي في ناس فقراء ولا لا، إذا إحنا كمجتمع ما إحنا مترابطين، للأسف إحنا يمكن مع تقدم التكنولوجيا، مع التطور السريع. أنا اشتغلت في جدة، اشتغلت في الخبر، اشتغلت في الرياض، وشفت أن المدن اللي تكون متقدمة دائما خلينا نقول النسيج الاجتماعي مفكك. الحمد لله احنا عندنا نعمة دين، في أشياء تجمعنا، في مناسبات، في أعياد، في مساجد، لكن للأسف هذه ما نشوفها ترى في المجتمعات الأخرى. وأحيانا الاستدامة ما هي مسؤولية بس داخلية على الفرد، هي تمتد إلى المجتمع، من الفرد إلى العائلة، إلى المجتمع، إلى الحي، إلى المنطقة، إلى الدولة، إلى دول أخرى. احنا إذا بنقول نبغى نحقق مبدأ الاستدامة، لازم نكون مسؤولين تجاه أنفسنا وتجاه الجار. والجار كمفهوم يمتد إلى سابع جار كقول النبي عليه أفضل الصلاة والسلام، لكن كمفهوم يمتد إلى أبعد الجيران. الدول جيران، الناس الدول اللي برا، احنا خلاص احنا كوكب صغير. حين الجيل الجديد يفتح الآيباد يتعلم 6 لغات وهو قاعد في البيت. احنا أول نفحط عشان نتكلم كلمتين إنجليزي ABCD ونروح نهايط عند الناس وأنا أعرف إنجليزي. الأكسس للإنفورميشن الحين أكبر من أي وقت يعني مرينا فيه إحنا سابقا. فالإكسكيوزز ولا الأعذار في تحقيق مبدأ الاستدامة هي مجرد يمكن أعذار ولا أوهام إحنا نحطها لنفسنا. مرة أخرى الاستدامة تبدأ مننا إحنا كبشر وتنتهي فينا إحنا كبشر، واللي موجود على كوكب الأرض كموارد ولا كتحديات هذه أمانة إحنا مسؤولين عنها، وكلفنا بهذه الأمانة. من ناحية الدينية كمسلمين إحنا مكلفين بهذه الأمانة، أبت الجبال أن تأخذها إحنا أخذناها، فإحنا مسؤولين قدام أنفسنا، قدام الناس، قدام البيئة، قدام الله سبحانه وتعالى، عشان نحمل هذه الأمانة. ولئن شكرتم لأزيدنكم. والشكر ما هو كلام. احنا كمملكة يمكن ولا كعالم نهدر كميات من الغذاء بمليارات سنويا، اللي يهدر من غذاء يطعم فقراء العالم 6 مرات. 6 مرات. مع ذلك لسه عندنا هذه المشاكل. فهذه بس يعني خلينا نقول جانب إنساني من الاستدامة لازم نحطه في عين الاعتبار دائما، سواء حاليا مستقبلا. حتى لما نجي نتكلم عن تغير مناخي، نتكلم عن إعادة تدوير، نتكلم عن مدن مستدامة، لازم يكون عندنا هذا المبدأ راسخ in the back of our head زي ما يقولوا. جميل؟
يس. طيب بما أننا متفقين الآن على تعريفك للاستدامة اللي هو يبدأ من الجانب الإنساني، كيف نقدر نفعل الجانب ده أو الفكر هذا في داخلنا كأفراد بحيث نحصل على طاقة مستدامة داخلية دائمة؟ نعم نعرف أنه الحياة فيها انخفاضات وارتفاعات، ولكن الاستدامة شيء يعني غير منتهي. كيف في منظورك نقدر نصل إلى النقطة التي نستطيع عن طريقها تفعيل هذا الجانب المستدام داخل طاقتنا كبشر؟
طبعا احنا كبشر يعني كل واحد عنده يعني طاقة على قد، على نقول كل واحد عنده احتياج، كل واحد عنده مشاكل. احنا مو شرط نلزم أنفسنا بأشياء احنا ما نقدر عليها. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. أنا باللي أقدر عليه، سواء على مستوى فرد، على مستوى عائلة، يعني كل واحد باللي يقدر عليه. أنا مثلا لو صاحب بزنس، وهذا أحيانا اللي أنا يضايقني بكثير من الأحيان، أجلس مع ناس يقول لي والله أنا ودي أفتح بزنس. طيب ربي قدر عليك افتح بزنس، إيش الهدف من البزنس؟ قال والله أبغى أفتح كافي شاب، وبعد فترة أتوسع، وبعد فترة أسوي وأفعل، وأجي أجلس معهم. حلو جميل، فتحت كافي شاب؟ قال فتحت كافي شاب. مين بتوظف؟ قال والله ما ودي أوظف سعوديين. ليش؟ قال والله السعودي عيار. خلينا نتكلم كلام واقعي الحين. ها، السعودي عيار، السعودي ما يشتغل، السعودي يبغى راتب، السعودي يبغى. طبعا هذه النظرة تغيرت يعني مع بداية 2030 ومع بداية الرؤية ومع تغيرت هذه الأنماط. لكن لا زال كثير من أصحاب التجارة يقول لك والله أنا أبغى أقلل التكلفة وأزيد الأرباح. كيف بتقلل التكلفة؟ بوظف أجانب مثلا. أوكي، بعد فترة يمكن اقتنع ما بوظف أجانب، بوظف سعوديين. طيب بوظف سعوديين، لما يكون هدف البزنس سواء صغير ولا كبير ربحي بحت، أنا أواجه مشكلة. لأن إذا كان هدفه ربحي بحت راح يستهلك موارد أكثر، ما راح يعطي العامل حقه، ما راح يفكر من ناحية مستدامة في مجال البزنس، راح يفكر بالأرباح فقط. عادة ما نرى أصحاب التجارة عنده هدف مادي، ما عنده بعد نظر ولا هدف بعيد المدى يخلق أثر. طيب أنت ككافي شاب صغير تقدر تخلق أثر، بدل ما توظف ناس مثلا بارت تايم وتقلل التكلفة، أعطيهم فول تايم، أعطيهم تأمين طبي، استثمر فيهم عشان هم يستثمروا في المكان. استخدم أشياء ريسايكلبل، يمكن مو في البداية تسوي إعادة تدوير، يمكن مع الفترة، لكن لما يكون عند الشخص رؤية واضحة وين هو يبغى يوصل، ولا إيش الأثر اللي يبغى يخلقه، سواء على مستوى نفسه كشخص ولا على مستوى عائلة ولا على مستوى مجتمع، هنا يبدأ الشيء يتغير. أنا خليني كبداية والله أنا بفتح كافي شاب، بس يمكن أبغى أبدأ بشكل بسيط وأثر على المجتمع اللي أنا فيه، بحيث أن أقلل من استهلاك البلاستيك. زي ما مثلا هنا أنتم سويتوا في كاوس، طلعتوا بمبادرة جدا جميلة. أنا أمس رحت التميمي بس عشان أشوف، أوكي، إنه ما في بلاستيك، صح يمكن أخذ منكم الوقت طويل، بس بادرة جدا جميلة، أخذت جهد، أخذت وقت. ليش؟ لأن وراها كان في وعي، أنا أبغى أخلق أثر، ما أبغى بس أستفيد، أبغى أستفيد وأبغى أفيد. فترى الموضوع يعني ما هو معقد جدا، الواحد يبدأ بنفسه بالأشياء البسيطة اللي نسويها يوميا. خلينا نوتعي شوية. أنا كم واحد فيكم اليوم تسبح صباح؟ كلكم. اللي ما تسبح عاد الله يعين اللي جنبه. كلكم تروشتوا صح ولا لا؟ هل في أحد منكم يعرف كمية الموية اللي استخدمها كم؟ واقعا هل في أحد حسب؟ هل في أحد فكر أصلا أنا إذا أخذت شاور 5 دقائق ولا 10 دقائق شنو الفرق؟ وانتم بكرامة لما نشوف التويلت الجديدة الحين واشوف فيها زرين مثلا، واحد صغير وواحد كبير، هل في يوم استفسرنا ليش هذا صغير وليش هذا كبير؟ هل نعرف الفرق إذا استخدمت هذا؟ يمكن في بعض الناس، أنا ما أتكلم، أنا حتى عن نفسي ترى أنا ماني الإنسان الكامل في الاستدامة، عندي كل أغلاط، بس إحنا هنا نثقف نفسنا ونوعي نفسنا في أشياء بسيطة إحنا نسويها كل يوم، بس أبدا ما عندنا الاستيعاب أثرها إيش. الإنسان متى يبدأ يقتنع يتبنى شيء ولا يسخر طاقة من طاقاته لفعل خير ولا لخلق أثر؟ لما يحاول يوعى أنا التصرف اللي راح أسويه بعد يوم ولا بعد دقيقة ولا بعد ساعة إيش الأثر اللي راح يخلقه على المدى القصير وعلى المدى الطويل. أشياء بسيطة مثل 5 دقائق شاور مثلا، لأن بعد كثير لما يجي يغسل أسنانه الموية مفتوحة، مين يسويها هنا؟ أنا كنت أسويها وأحيانا حتى الآن أنساها مفتوحة. كمية الموية اللي تهدر في 5 دقائق في شاور ولا في غسيل ولا ما شاء الله. أحيانا نحن نستخسر أن أشتري مثلا غسالة أوتوماتيك أن توفر موية، يا ابن الحلال ليش أدفع لي 2000 زيادة؟ خذها ب500، خذها هذه أرخص وهذه تفيدك في أشياء أخرى. ففي أشياء ترى بسيطة جدا نقدر نبدأ فيها، لكن لازم يكون زي ما أرجع وأعيد، لكن لازم الفهم يكون أن الاستدامة ما هي بس عن الأشياء اللي نسويها على مستوى الفرد ولا على المدى القصير، هي مدى طويل، وهي من الإنسان للإنسان، والأشياء اللي حواليها كلها مسؤوليات. البيئة مسؤولية، الاقتصاد مسؤولية، الاندماج مع المجتمع مسؤولية، كل هذه الأشياء مسؤوليات إحنا مسؤولين عنها. فكل واحد باللي يقدر عليه بأشياء البسيطة، ولا أحد يستصغر الشيء البسيط اللي يقدر يسويه أبدا أبدا. لا تستصغر لما تمسك باب حق شخص بيدخل ما تدري، يمكن كان مار بيوم عصيب، أنت فتحت له الباب خليته يمر، تذكر أنه في فعل خير وراح. في مبدأ اللي يسمونه في التريكل داون افكت ولا الواتر فول افكت، انه ممكن احنا ليش نقول مثلا من ناحيه دينيه الابتسامه في وجه اخيك المسلم صدقه. وطلعوا فيديو قبل فتره في احد الدول الاجنبيه، شخص ابتسم والابتسامه هذه انتقلت لهنا وانتقلت لهناك وانتقلت لهناك، وصنعت ايام الافراد هذه. وفي واحد سوى فعل خير عشان ابتسامه، واحد بنية حسنة سواها وهو مار مثلا في مكان وابتسم لشخص، الشخص هذا حس أنه سعيد وراح قدم فعل خير مكان ثاني. لا أحد يستصغر فعل الخير أبدا 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 مهما كان صغير، مهما كان صغير. وحطوا نفسكم أماكن الناس اللي عندها احتياج، أماكن الناس اللي عانت في حياتها. احنا عندنا كمية من الأجانب لما يجي هنا يعاني من هنا لين هنا، وأنا أزعل عشان إن نسى ما حط لي كاتشب في الساندويتش. فالحياة أكبر من هذه الأشياء، لازم نستوعب القيمة الإنسانية في هذا الموضوع، ضروري جدا ضروري.
طيب أنا حأسأل ده السؤال وبعدين نترك لكم المجال تسألوا أستاذ ماجد. الآن بعض المفاهيم اللي لها علاقة بالاستدامة الآن زي ما حضرتك تفضلت قد تخلق يعني جانب من الندم تجاه دور الفرد للبيئة بشكل عام. البيئة أقصد بها البيئة اللي هي الطبيعة والبيئة اللي حوالينا. يعني إيش؟ يعني قد يشعر الفرد بأنه مقصر تجاه المنظومة اللي حوالينه، بأنه ما قاعد يتصرف تصرفات حسنة مستدامة، فبالتالي الريجريت الندم ده اللي يحصل عنده يخليه يتقاعس sometimes، وطبعا يسبب شعور سيء وطبعا that goes يعني against مسألة الاستدامة الإنسانية لطاقة الفرد. كيف حضرتك تعقب على الموضوع؟
أنا من الناس اللي تعلمت إني ما أندم على الأشياء اللي سويتها. إذا غلطت أتحمل عواقب الغلط. جميل؟ كلنا نغلط، كلنا راح نسوي أشياء يمكن نحس بالندم عليها، بس الندم لا راح يقدم ولا يأخر في النهاية. يمكن شوفوا احنا يمكن كلامنا اليوم انتم تحسوا هذا الاستدامة وهذا قاعد يتكلم عن الطاقة والندم everything is connected to everything. كل حاجة مرتبطة بكل شيء. في مقطع بسيط لو تروحوا تشوفوه في اليوتيوب عن اسمه اليلوستون ناشونال بارك. جميل؟ هذا الناشونال بارك في أحد الأوقات كان أشبه بالصحراء القاحلة. ليش؟ لأن اختفى منه الذئب لفترة 70 سنة. في أحد منكم شاف المقطع هذا؟ ما في؟ أنصح الكل أنه يتابعه. هو 4 دقائق يوضح لك كيف أن لما جابوا الذئب في منظومة بيئية مثل هذه النهر رجع في هذا المكان، رجعت الخضرة، رجعت الحيوانات. الناس تستغرب ايش دخل الذئب، كيف رجع لي ريفر، كيف رجع لي نهر. روح جاهدوا المقطع عشان لا أحرق عليكم. شوفوا كيف الأشياء مترابطة. أنا إذا ندمت كشخص وزعلت، إذا الندم هذا ما راح يرجعني للمسار الصحيح، إذن هذا ما هو ندم، هذا بس عذر. احنا كلنا راح نسوي أغلاط ونندم عليها، وإذا ندمنا وتعلمنا من الغلطة كان بها، إذا ما تعلمنا يمكن يبغى لنا غلطة أكبر. فاختصر على نفسك الوقت، أغلط. بدون الغلط ما حد يتعلم. لكن إذا بتندم اتخذ قرار، يا أما تصحح الغلط أو تتعلم من الغلطة. أما إذا الواحد بيندم ويوقف كذا، أنا ما استفدت، أنت ما استفدت. يعني بالنهاية زي ما قلنا كلكم راع وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته، وكل شخص راعي لشيء معين، سواء كان ابن، سواء كان أب، سواء كان مدير، سواء كان موظف، سواء كان عاطل على العمل. تظل راعي وتظل مسؤول. فخلي الواحد يكون قد المسؤولية. إذا غلط يندم، ما في مشكلة، صحح الغلطة وامشي بكل بساطة.
جميل جدا. طيب اللي عنده سؤال يتفضل المايك.
السلام عليكم. أول شيء شكرا على الكلام الطيب. واسمي
تقرب عند المايك شوية.
شكرا، الله يجزاك خير. اسمي أحمد السلمي، إلكتريكال كيمستري سبيشاليست وإلكتريفيكيشن أدفوكيت. عندي سؤال بالنسبة للاستدامة فيما يخص الإلكتريفيكيشن.
ما يخص إيش؟
إلكتريفيكيشن.
جميل.
إحنا الآن في عصر الإلكتريفيكيشن، كيف تشوفها من منظورك خلال الاستدامة؟
إيش تقصد بالإلكتريفيكيشن؟
يعني إلكتريفاينج، ترانسبورتيشن، ايربلين، فاكتوريز، اغلب حياتنا.
قصدك مثلا سياره الالكتريك مثلا الحين من وقود خليناها الالكتريك كار مثلا.
وكذلك اغلب الحاجات، يعني الان حتى في مشاريع سفن وفي مشاريع طيارات شغاله على الالكتريفيكيشن، والمصانع دخلت منها مصانع الاسمنت عشان يقللون الاثر البيئي على الكلايمت. فايش تشوفها من منظورك خلال الاستدامه؟
جميل. طبعا يمكن هذا احد الجوانب انا شخصيا ماني متخصص فيه ابدا، لكن من خلال يمكن خلينا نقول معرفتي المتواضعه البسيطه في بعض الجوانب، مو كل شيء electrified sustainable. Not everything that uses electricity purely ولا تغير من مثلا من وقود فاصل فيول الى الكتريك معناته sustainable. والدليل مثلا ان لما تعمل ريسايكلينج على بعض الباتريز مثلا، الاثر البيئي حقها اكبر بكثير من العوامل الاخرى. فاعتقد هي مستقبل زاهر في الاستدامه، لكن اذا وصلنا الى مرحله بحيث ان اثر الكتريفاينج بعض البرودكتس ولا بعض السيرفيسز ولا بعض الاشياء خلينا نقول كأثر بيئي أقل، راح يكون وصل لمرحلة إكوليبريم. أعتقد التكنولوجي في تطور مستمر. ولو شفت مثلا إيلون ماسك صاحب تسلا، يس حتى الآن التكلفة حق السيارة جدا عالي، تكلفة الصناعة عالي، الأثر الكربون فوت برنت حق صناعة الإلكتريك كار جدا عالي. لكن واحدة من الميز اللي سواها هو خلى كل التكنولوجي اللي عنده اوبن سورس. أي شخص يقدر يروح يفهم التكنولوجي حق تسلا and improve on it. هذا شخص عنده فيجن، بغض النظر عنده فلوس ولا بعض الناس يمكن تقول هذا الشخص مثلا اشتغل نفوذ، ولا الشخص عنده فيجن، وعنده فيجن to impact society for a better cause. وما في شخص بيكون عنده ثقة انه يفتح open source patent عنده ولا open data للمنافس، انه يقول له تعال افهم التكنولوجي عندي ونافسني. فاعتقد الجانب هذا له مجال جدا كبير، وهو مستقبل السستينابيلتي من جانب معين، خاصة من جانب بيئي. لازم توصل مرحلة التكنولوجي بحيث ان الاثر البيئي اقل من الاثر الحالي، ولا هي بتطلع في النهاية. ناخذ سؤال من هنا.
يعطيك العافية على الحديث الرائع، خصوصا في البداية فيما يخص الفقر وقصتك في الابتدائي. هذه القصة أنا لمست فيني أنا شخصيا أمور فيني وفي زملائي. طبعا أنا اسمي أنس اليزيدي، طالب طب في جامعة الملك عبد العزيز. في بيئة الطب الآن والسنوات الأخيرة صار متعارف أنه دائما والد الطلبة يكون طبيب أو أم طبيبة، وحتى في دفعتي أشوف الشيء هذا جدا كثير. تقدم بعض الدورات تكون بمبالغ عالية، وحصلت مواقف إنه في طلبة شفتهم ما يقدروا يتحملوا هذا المبالغ. بادرت أنا بنفسي وبعض زملائي إنه قدمنا هذه الدورات، بعضها دورات بحثية، بعضها تعليم أساسيات، إسعافات وغيرها. بس السؤال كيف أخلي هذا الموضوع مستدام بالنسبة لي في العطاء، في إني أعطي الشخص اللي مو قادر، لأنه فعلا تشوف نظرة الحزن والكسر، خصوصا لما يصير الموضوع جماعي. فهذا الموضوع مستمر يعني ما انتهى.
صح. عشان أفهم المشكلة، هل أنت تعاني أنت ما تقدر تعطي لأن ما عندك وقت، ولا هل الشيء يتطلب مادة معينة أن أنت بالنسبة لك لازم تكون عندك عشان تعطي أكثر؟
أحيانا أنا ما أقدر أعطي الكل.
صح.
وهذا شيء أنا يزعلني شخصيا. فكيف أخليه يعني ممكن أعممه أو نظهر هذا الصورة للناس إنه في فعلا حتى في المجتمعات اللي دخلها عالي وكذا فيها فئات برضو ما تقدر.
أنا بعطيك حل ممكن يناسب ممكن لا. أنا لو كنت مكانك أخليها بزنس. حلو. أنا أشارج بيبل وأخلي جزء من المادة هذه تروح للناس المحتاجة. يعني أنا لما كان عمري 12 سنة أوكي اضطريت إني أشتغل، صرت أدرس. بداية كنت أدرس إنجليزي وأدرس رياضيات للطلبة، تقوية يسموها طلاب التقوية، كنت أدرسهم خارج أوقات الدوام. الناس اللي تقدر تدفع، اللي ما يقدر يدفع أدرس ببلاش. ليش؟ صار عندي مدخول يغطي شيء معين. حلو. أنا من جانب الغير الربحي مثلا، ولا النون بروفيت، ولا الحين بما معناه يسموه المسؤولية الاجتماعية. commercialize your skills okay and provide for those who cannot pay. It's as simple as that. فأنت ممكن أنت تتعاون مع أكثر من شخص، أن تخلوك مثلا مكان مركز صغير تبدأ أونلاين. حلو. وخذ فيس قليلة، مو شرط أنت you charge a lot، خذ فيس قليلة and promote، وقول لهم أن جزء من المبلغ هذا بيروح لمساعدة المحتاجين. أنا أحب لما أروح مكان يقول لي ترى مبلغ مستقطع راح يروح لأسر محتاجة. طبعا أحيانا it's not about giving people what they need. أحيانا أنت يقول لك لا تعطي الشخص سمكة، علمه كيف يصيد. فمو دائما الشخص المحتاج يحتاج أنك تعطيه شيء مجانا، مو دائما. أحيانا الشخص المحتاج يعني خاصة مثلا لما نجي نتكلم على مستوى دول، طبعا هذه الأشياء يمكن نتكلم على مستوى أفراد، لما تجي على مستوى دول المعادلة تختلف. في دول محتاجة وفي دول مانحة. احنا كمملكة مثلا أحد الدول المانحة، بس عندنا دول عالم الثالث، دول تأخذ إعانات واقتصادها قائم على إعانات. أنا إذا بعطيهم دائما they will take it for granted. الشخص الفقير أحيانا يعيش في قوقعة إنه يبغى الناس تعطي، أوكي، هو بس يأخذ. they have to have something زي ما يقولوا they have to have skin in the game. أوكي. أنت تبغى تعطي الشخص مثلا هذا، تبغى تعطيه، خليه يشتغل معك. why not؟ ليش لا؟ مو عشان إنه محتاج معناته he gets stuff for free. هذا الكونسبت ما هو دائما صح. واغلب الاوقات مغلوط. لان اذا انت عودت الشخص على العطاء راح يجلس كذا ويستنى العطيه. لا، خليه يشتغل معك، علمه الصنعه وخليه يشتغل معك واكبر معاه، انت تكبر هو يكبر. فخلي عندك اجلس مع ناس انتربرنورز، افهم كيف الاشياء. اي واحد هنا، هذه نصيحه للكل، اي واحد عنده سكيل. انا انسان يمكن احد الاغلاط اللي غلط فيها، انا الحمد لله عندي موهبه في الرسم، عندي موهبه في الخط. I never commercialized this. اوكي؟ ليش؟ لان كانت موهبه، ولما حاولت اني اسوي لها commercialized وانا كنت صغير، بدات فيها ككوميرشال بزنس، لكن ظلت in the back of my head ان هي وظيفه كانت عشان تطلعني من هذا المكان اللي انا فيه. فكل مرة أرجع لها كوظيفة يجيني نفس الشعور. Until and unless I change this feeling, okay, it will never be a business. Okay? فأي واحد.
أعلق بس تعليق بسيط على مسألة الهواية أو الموهبة. أعتقد شخصياً إذا كانت الموهبة دي موجودة، يعني never commercialize it، أنا أتفق تماماً، لأن هي الطاقة الوحيدة اللي الشخص يقدر يستريح بسببها من أي ضغوطات أخرى. فلما تصير هي عبء عشان مثلا في تسليم معين بالذات في الرسومات او الخطوط، فيصير في ضغط على ضغط، فما يصير في استمتاع.
sometimes it loses، يعني تخسر الروح اللي فيها. لكن هذا ما يمنع ان جزء كبير من السكيل هذه يستخدم كبزنس ابدا. بس back to your point على قولتهم، انت لما تتقاعد ترى الشيء الوحيد اللي بيظل عندك هي هواياتك، هي معارفك الشيبان اللي بتقعد معاهم، والشايبات اللي وقت الضحى بشاهي ولا يمشي وطفي النور. فخلي عندك هوايات تقدر تستخدمها في وقت الريتايرمنت. اوكي؟ لا تستخدم كل شيء ككوميرشال، لكن اذا عندك هوايه اصقلها، نميها. انت ما تدري متى راح تساعدك، سواء الحين ولا مستقبلا. فانت هذه سكيل عندك، ترى مو اي شخص فاهم شيء يقدر يقدمه. ترى commercialize، اوكي، and use it for a good cause. والله يقدرك على فعل الخير. شكرا.
تفضل.
يعطيك العافية. معك الدكتور عمر البلوي، جامعة تبوك، كلية الهندسة. سؤال يعني من الأمس، والمتحدثين يعطيهم العافية ويتكلمون الاستدامة، جانب الوعي هو مهم جدا، لكن في بعض الأحيان للأسف الوعي ما يغذى بشكل سليم. فيا إن الأمور ما هي واضحة. أنت أعطيت الآن مثال الموية، الترويش، ولا أحد جاوب في القاعة كاملة، فمعناته ما في أحد عنده الوعي وما وصل له بالشكل السليم هذا. الأمر الآخر هو اللي بالنسبة لي هو الأهم، إنه في عشان تأثر على الوعي لابد في سن قوانين معينة. في لوائح ما هي باينة من ناحية القوانين، ما هي واضحة. في إلى 2018 أنا على الشيء هذا متأكد منه، اللوائح التنفيذية للأرصاد والبيئة إذا زادت الانبعاثات في محطات توليد الكهرباء المخالفة 150 ريال. يعني it's nothing للشركة، الأرباح هيكون full loaded fossil fuel، it doesn't matter for him. يعني الشيء عنده هذا عادي ما دام أن المخالفة 150 ريال، فهذا ولا شيء. إيش دور القوانين في هذا الأمر مع الوعي؟ ليش القوانين أو سن القوانين غير موجود؟
ممتاز، هذا سؤال جدا جدا مهم. أي تغيير في أي منظومة، في أي دولة، في أي مكان يحتاج عدة أبعاد. يحتاج الأنظمة والقوانين اللي هي الريجوليشن، يحتاج الوعي اللي هي الأويرنس، يحتاج الانفورسمنت اللي هي الأداة، خلينا نقول الضغط اللي ممكن تخلي الشيء يمشي. وناخذ على سبيل المثال، خلينا ناخذ مثال السرعة. مين فيكم هنا يحب ساهر؟ أي بس واحدة؟ تحبوا السرعة أنتوا؟ ما حد يحب السرعة، صح ولا لا؟ ما حد يحب الحوادث، ومع ذلك ما حد يحب ساهر. ليش؟ ساهر هو أداة enforcement على regulation معين. أنت عندك الحين مثلا معدل الحوادث المرورية في المملكة من أعلى معدل حوادث في العالم. جميل؟ أنت عشان تغير هذا الشيء تحط لك KPI مثلا، ولا تتنزل من هذا العدد، تحتاج عدة أشياء. تحتاج regulation، تحتاج policy، تحتاج policy instrument، تحتاج governance، تحتاج awareness. الregulation جدا مهم، الأداة النظامية جدا مهمة. هي مو معناته أنها ما هي موجودة في المملكة، هي موجودة، بس هل هي مفعلة بالطريقة الصح؟ هنا تدخل في التحدي الآخر. الاستدامة بشكل كامل كمنظوم كفهم، إذا تبغى تطبقها تحتاج تفعل كل الأدوار وكل جهة، كل ستيك هولدر ولا كل صاحب مصلحة له دور ومسؤولية. الحكومة مثلا الجهات الحكومية لها الريجوليشن، والريجوليشن تدخل في تعقيدات معينة ولا تحديات ضمن هذه الدائرة. هل عندنا الأنظمة والقوانين كلها واضحة في مجال الاستدامة؟ قطعا لا، ولا كل الدول عندها. في دول متقدمة، في دول لسه في البداية، في دول. هذه الأشياء قاعدة تتغير في المملكة من بداية 2030 مع الرؤية، والأنظمة قاعدة تتغير واللوائح قاعدة تتغير وتتغير بشكل أسرع من دول متقدمة الآن. هل عندنا الحين في مركز أمثلة إذا كنت موجود في مركز الالتزام البيئي شغال على سن لوائح وأنظمة في مجال الاستدامة البيئية، سواء على شركات على أفراد. أنت تدري إن في عندنا شرطة بيئية في المملكة ولا ما في؟ دوبها لسه بعده وراح تتفعل قريب إن شاء الله. في عندنا أنظمة وقوانين وفي أيضا نقص، لكن النظام بدون انفورسمنت، بدون أداة ضغط إنك تفعل هذا النظام بيكون ناقص. الوعي مو بس إلزامي على الحكومة لما تنزل نظام إن هي توعي الناس، أنت عندك مسؤولية أيضا. أنت كشخص مسؤول تقدر توعي نفسك بنفسك. إحنا دائما أنا جلست مثلا مع شركات قطاع خاص حلو، كانوا يقول والله إحنا نحتاج توجه من الحكومة. ليش تحتاج توجه من الحكومة؟ عشان تسوي مسؤولية اجتماعية. هل أنا كحكومة مثلا لازم أجي وأقول لك يا فلان تصدق عشان تأدي دورك كشخص مسؤول اجتماعيا؟ لا، المسؤولية عليك أنت أن توعي نفسك قبل لا تكون على أي شخص آخر. مشكلة الاستدامة ولا مشكلة أي مشكلة تواجه البشرية أن احنا we do the blaming mentality، أنتوا ونحن ونحن وأنتوا. لا لا لا، it's us، احنا كلنا فيها. النظام مهم، الوعي مهم، المسؤولية أهم. جميل؟ فالأنظمة هذه موجودة ولله الحمد، بعضها تحت التنفيذ، بعضها لسه تحت الدراسة. احنا قدامنا مشوار طويل، والأشخاص اللي مثلك وشارواك إذا شافوا في جاب في السيستم ولا جاب في الأنظمة اتخذ قرار، اتخذ أكشن، لا تسكت. احنا عادة للأسف في بعض الأشياء نشوفها ونسكت ونقول والله finished I saw that we still have a lot of questions. أنا موجود يا جماعة إذا في أي أسئلة ولا هذا، بحكم أن الوقت انتهى وبترك المجال للدكتورة عشان تختم. بس الأنظمة موجودة، إذا ما هي موجودة أنت كمواطن أنت رجل الأمن والمسؤول الأول. اتكلم، لا تسكت، أطرق البيبان. الحكومة قاعدة تسمع الآن. لا أحد يقول والله أنا حاولت بس إن ما قدرت. لا، you did not try enough. إحنا كلنا we had our own struggle، وكلنا حاولنا نغير، وممكن في أبواب تسكرت، وإذا تسكر باب في وراه 600 باب مفتوح. لا تقعد كذا وتحط رجل على رجل والله ما أنا حاولت ما قدرت. لا، you can الحمد لله. الفترة الحالية أنتم في أفضل دولة ممكنة. figure it out and you will get there بإذن الله.
شكرا. شكرا جزيلا، والمعذرة من الجميع على الأسئلة يعني، ونوصل للنتيجة خلاصة الحديث. طبعا الاستدامة هي عبارة عن مفهوم في تنمية الإنسان عشان نقدر نستمر ونستغل الطاقات الموجودة في الكرة الأرضية والطاقات اللي حوالينا. شكرا جزيلا أستاذ ماجد على مشاركتك الرائعة والحضور على الاستماع. وطبعا تقدروا تتحدثوا مع أستاذ ماجد إن شاء الله يعني بعد السيشن ما يخلص.
العفو دكتورة، شكرا لكم جميعا على التفاعل. أشكر العافية.
طيب، شكرا جزيلا أستاذ ماجد، دكتورة لينا، يعطيكم العافية. كذا شهادة بسيطة. شكرا. ألف شكر، ما قصرت. الله يجزاك خير. ناخذ صورة بس. Thank you very much. شكرا لك، ما قصرت. الله يعطيك العافية. شكرا لينا، ما قصرت. Okay, so we've been talking about sustainability, صح? And what is the name of the initiative that organized this conference? SYS, short for what? Saudi Youth for Sustainability. Mumtaz. So we're talking about sustainability on a national level. Our next keynote will tell us what does it mean to be sustainable as a nation. I welcome to the stage Dr. Najah Ashri, and this session is moderated by Thana Qurashi. Please help me welcome them.
Please join me to welcome the Vice President of Strategic National Advancement and the Senior Associate to the President, and she'll be talking today about sustainability as a nation, and please join me to welcome her again.
السلام عليكم جميعا، مساء الخير واهلا بكم في جامعتكم جامعة الملك عبد الله. وجوه أليفة ووجوه نتطلع انها تكون أليفة في المستقبل، وفي الواقع ما في شيء يعطيني انا شخصيا، وانا اعتقد الجميع في مجال التعليم، غير اننا نكون في حدث صنع بايدي شباب وشابات طموحين، ويضم شابات وشباب طموحين المواهب اليافعة والواعدة للمملكة العربية السعودية. فمهما يكون عددنا قليل اليوم، ولكن بيننا حيحصل تأثير قوي جدا، أنا متأكدة من هذا الشيء، ما عندي أدنى شك. أقول هذا الكلام عن تجربة، عن خبرة، عن معرفة، عن دراية، إنه ما في شخص يضع جزء من روحه، من نفسه، من وقته في مشروع معين لإيمانه فيه إلا وينجح إن شاء الله بعون الله تعالى. والناس كلها هنا متطوعة، كلهم متطوعين، والناس اللي هنا اليوم كلها ناس وضعت وقتها إنها تحضر برنامج، إنها تستثمر في نفسها. فأنا متأكدة إنه إن شاء الله الناتج حيكون شيء جميل لنا جميعا. حياكم الله في الجامعة. قررت اليوم، هحول إنجليزي، قررت اليوم إن نتكلم عن sustainability for a nation. National level, sustainability from a national level. Specifically, I think it's so easy when we speak about sustainability to think of environmental sustainability, to think of issues related to water, to poverty, to food security. It's easier to lean towards the nature when we talk about sustainability, especially in a university like ours, where we do research in areas related to the sustainability of our planet, to the sustainability of our lifestyle, to the sustainability of the natural resources. However, there are other faces for sustainability that are very important for us as a nation and for us as humans, individuals, that are very important to talk about. Today, I chose to speak about a very specific topic, the changing demographics in the kingdom and how that will have a positive impact on sustainability for us as a nation. So the two aspects of the changing demographics, or one big aspect of the changing demographics, is basically the youth. The youth. We are a nation of predominantly young individuals, predominantly. We're made about 70% of Saudi Arabia are 34 or younger. That's amazing. That's a huge demographic shift in the country that will impact everything that we do. The idea is, those young people are not just there. They're there with a specific agenda, just because they're a specific generation that has been exposed to so many things and has been living in such a changing environment, including COVID, by the way. So these generations will have tremendous impact. So my thesis is very simple. The changing demographics in Saudi Arabia will impact sustainability for us as a nation in a truly positive way. So you see some statistics there, amazing. We're a nation of young individuals. Those young people are excited about every aspect, or are active in every aspect of the SDGs, every aspect. They have access to technology, they have access to knowledge that is basically parallel to none in history. They are very much about gaining information, gathering information, and about making an impact on social media. There is a bit of statistics at the bottom that's quite interesting. So basically, we're number one globally in YouTube consumption per capita. Number one globally. We watch YouTube for different reasons. Imagine that the reasons there, I can't guarantee you. There are the good and the bad and the ugly, but there are the good. And that's what I'm focusing on here. So 72 minutes versus 16 minutes for those who are considered youth and those who are in the second, close to them. Not that 34 and above are not youthful, they are, but this is basically 72 minutes, specifically talks about a group of individuals that what we consider the main resource for our nation. It's a very different type of Saudi Arabia because of those young people. They're more health, social, environmental, and conscious. Health, social, from every aspect. There is that consciousness, the collective consciousness that we feel it, we see it, we experience it everywhere we go. If it's in Saudi Arabia, if it's in Riyadh, if it's in Jeddah, if it's in remote areas that were normally or on an I would say, used to be considered remote areas, and now they're basically part of this movement, part of the harak, the transformation that's happening in the kingdom. And this holistic transformation that's happening, again, leads me to conclude that this is the heart of where the sustainability of the kingdom lies. It's in the youth and the changing in the changes that are happening there. So one of the things that we have noticed is this basically the pursuit of a world-class education. When I used to travel about 13 years ago, perhaps 12, 13 years ago, to recruit students, Saudi students for KAUST, for this university. So basically we'd go to places like Australia, the US, the UK, different places to recruit Saudi students. And what struck me then wasn't the transformation that's happening for the people who are pursuing the degrees. What struck me, their children. They're basically, if it's a mother who's pursuing her degree or if it's a father, it's not them themselves, but this upcoming generation. So we have basically changed the demographics since we started the scholarship program. But currently, I would say every single individual, including those in this room today, every single Saudi in this room today, has pursued some form of international education, including being here today. So I'm not talking necessarily about a degree, but it's not a full degree, but it could be a micro-credential type of pursuit. But definitely, people are pursuing education at a pace, international, global level, world class, at a pace that is also have not been seen before. I would say this number at the bottom will be exceeded quite quickly before even we hit the target for the 2030. I am almost certain that we will reach that number as a nation before 2030, which is the 70,000 number of Saudi students in the top 200 institutes worldwide. The gender integration is another component of our sustainability as a nation. So we have this young generations, these young people who are basically very much aware of what's happening, but gender integration is something that only Saudi Arabia can do well. Why? Because the gap is so huge between where women were and where we want them to be. This huge gap means we have an opportunity as a nation to chart the path for female integration, to draw the picture. How do we want women to be part of our society, our leadership, if it's a governmental, in businesses, even in tech, in innovation? How do you want to do it? So we do have an advantage. The gap is big, but the advantage is that we can basically borrow from best practices, we can learn from mistakes, we can learn from lessons that other nations have gone through, which is a great time to be. And also, again, if you look at the bottom statistic there, the 30% in the workforce participation, this was supposed to happen in 2030. We have achieved that already. So that definitely tells you a story that how integration will happen and will happen well in the country. Another item is our socially conscious youth. You being here, the formation of the Saudi Youth for Sustainability, all of this tells you a story of how our young people are very much motivated by leaving an impact, by having an impact, by leaving a print on the society, not only on the society, but definitely on their surrounding the society, but definitely on the globe at large. And it's something that we see in activities like volunteering and the number of people who volunteer. Environmentally conscious youth, that's something that we also have seen an increasing level of participation in activities that leads to an improvement for a better treatment of our environment. Definitely businesses are taking a look at that, and they realize that the young generations, Generation Z and others, are very much focused about doing good for the environment. And that means that businesses have to change their practices to accommodate the newcomers. health conscious, I have a statistics here at the bottom there, where we know that our young generations, people like you and younger, are much more focused on health. I'm not saying that we are beyond our behavior and our habits in the Saudi society, but definitely we have generations that are much more aware about their actions in terms of consumptions, in terms of movement, in terms of the need for well-being, being part of our daily programs, basically. Innovation and entrepreneurship is another aspect that shows us the importance of our youth in changing the sustainability of the nation. In the past, when we talk about innovation, it was really very limited. The idea that people not only can dream, but they can make their dreams come true. Not only they can imagine, but they can imagine in a way that impacts reality. That hasn't really been a great focus in the past. I think now more than any time before, this has become a reality. If you don't succeed now, if you're someone with big ideas, with big visions, who lacks the opportunity, if you don't succeed now, there are no better time in the future. This is the golden opportunity. And we see young people taking advantage of that in every walks of life. We definitely at KAUST, we're providing the platform for our women and for Saudi women, for Saudi youth, to be part of this movement, to be part of making this impact for the kingdom. From different programs that we have, and I don't want to go through this, but we do have programs that help in the capacity building, to our thought leadership, where we stand in front of the world as a country with a composition of the population composition mainly made of you guys, of people who are basically represent the kingdom everywhere, from the COP 2060, which is basically the United Nations main area for talking about climate change and climate action, to other items like where we have our women, for example, training women for leadership positions, not only in the kingdom but beyond. Of course, we have some strategic initiatives here and there that also represent a platform for young people to share their ideas. For example, in KAUST Challenge, it's a very simple idea. You basically crowdsource ideas to address specific challenges. It's a whole KAUST Challenge was made to motivate the youth in the kingdom to be part of the entrepreneurship activity, the innovation movement in the country, and to give them the incentive to do it, to give them the place to imagine and to make things happen. When you talk about the kingdom, definitely there is an example there for the other nations. There is no doubt in my mind. Again, I say this with all confidence, that what's happening in the kingdom now has not been paralleled anywhere in the world. And the fact that we are a nation that is building every aspect, transforming every aspect of its reality to be more sustainable, to really be supportive of the planet at large, including building this university, is something that is testament to what's happening in the kingdom. And there are some examples about empowering the youth, but also investing in sustainability at scale. So for a country like Saudi Arabia to speak about net zero by 2060, that's a huge commitment. We're talking about changes not only in the way we consume things, but the way we manufacture, the way we utilize, the way we implement. Every aspect of what we do has to be reevaluated. So I think this would be a major stepping stone for the kingdom, but definitely it shows where the kingdom is in terms of investing for the future. Timeline, this is very difficult to read, I know, but definitely it shows from 2016 the number of initiatives that have been created. And we're talking about global size initiatives in the kingdom it's a move towards sustainability. It's a move towards truly adopting sustainability at every aspect. As I was saying, it's a whole system, a systems approach to sustainability. So I think one of the biggest challenges is that you need every part of the system to act together to reach the sustainability for a nation. This is an interesting slide that I wanted to share. It's basically the kingdom. Where is the kingdom in terms of sustainability? We don't rank very high, but this is something that happened before all of the activities that happened in terms of sustainability. But if you look at the third number there, the spillover score. The spillover score, it means that if this country did something positive in terms of sustainability, other nations around us would actually gain from our move. So we're very high in the spillover. كيف نقدر نأثر على اللي حوالينا. So the spillover impact is significantly high for a nation that's 96 when it comes to world ranking. When it comes to global ranking. So definitely there is something there to talk about the power of Saudi Arabia, the soft power, as well as its regional strength and weight. And it's very clear in this slide. The 96 is something that all organizations within the kingdom are taking very seriously. How can we move that up so we're better as a nation? And I'm sure that in the next time when this happens and this reading will happen, we will have a very, very different rank because of all the initiatives that I've shown in the slide before. That's it. This is what I wanted to share, just a bit of, as I said, a very simple message that the changing demographics in the country is basically sustainability for a nation, for our nation, is fueled by the changing demographics in our country. The gender integration, the youth taking a stance, and the youth making a statement for the nation in terms of what they want to do and how they want to do it. And I thank you very much. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Dr. Najah, for such an inspiring talk.
Thank you. It's up to you. Yes, we can go in English as well. It's up to you. It's up to you. English is fine.
So the first question, I think, is what everyone is thinking about, is what are the challenges facing the country, facing Saudi Arabia, on an individual and institutional level?
So if I want to speak about the challenges for the kingdom, I would say for the kingdom to reach sustainability and a better ranking when it comes to measurement, I would say that we have to have organization at a subnational level, organizations like CAUS, big organizations taking to heart the sustainability agenda, understanding what sustainability means and acting on that understanding. I would say very simply, to do a simple act towards sustainability. It takes significant changes of behavior and significant changes of how we do things and how we consume, how we act. So one aspect is the understanding of the sustainability agenda and how to implement it. Secondly is the interaction among different entities, because it's a system. Any country is a system of organizations and entities, and to change the sustainability meter in the country has to have all the players working together. So that's a very important part. So players understanding their role, players working together, and finally data. And data is a massive issue for us in the country, and it's a massive issue for any organization. If we ask our own sustainability office, ask them what's the one challenge that your number one challenge in terms of looking at KAUST and its sustainability, work in sustainability, the answer would be collecting data, ensuring that people record data, ensuring the integrity of the data, and ensuring that whatever you're doing, you're recording, and whatever you're recording is reflect what you're doing, and whatever you're recording is actually, so measuring, reporting, reviewing. So data would be the third challenge, I would say. From a personal level, it's a different story. From a personal level, sustainability is a tough goal to have. If you want to be someone who, for example, adapt reduced waste or a zero waste kind of program in your life, think about all the waste you generated since you started this morning. Just think about all the waste you, on a personal level, have generated since you started this morning. So sustainability, it's about reducing our consumption. It's about consuming things that are not harmful to the environment in terms of recycling. It's about, reduce, recycle, reuse. All of these aspects are part of sustainability, right? So if we just adopt the idea of reduced or zero waste as individuals, it means that we change every aspect of what we do. So instead of going for the convenience, for tearing individually wrapped item. For example, my example was basically if someone was serving me dates in an airplane and the dates are not individually wrapped, I wouldn't take it. It's just something. But if it's individually wrapped, it's much more convenient and much more comforting for me to take one that is individually wrapped in plastic. However, I'm producing waste. So it means on a personal level, it's a challenge. It means napkins, you think about napkins, but you will think about packaging of food that you buy. It means how do you use your car if you use a car. It's everything that around you. So from an individual level, I would say identifying where you can make an impact, where you can have an impact, and really committing to one act on a daily basis that actually can make an impact on the long term on you as an individual and the print that you will leave. If it's hand, foot, whatever print that you would leave, and making sure that this is something you adapt to. So the challenge is about understanding your impact, understanding your footprint, understanding what you leave, but also understanding how you can control it without impacting the system, the ecosystem at large, because every change impacts the whole ecosystem.
I think this is a really important point that you just raised. So for everyone, I would like to give you a homework. So when you go through your life, your daily life, just think, can I replace this with a more sustainable option? Just with picking a coffee cup or anything, just think about the sustainable alternative and do it. So you touched on the gender equity that is a goal in the UN Sustainability Development Goals. And there is this common misconception about women performance as employees. Now, they are usually seen as rigid and not as flexible as their male colleagues. And that leads to not including them in leadership roles and being excluded from a lot of opportunities that they are pretty much fit to do it. What would you like to say about that?
A lot. So I think there's, I would say it's a misconception in a way that's slightly different. So I can give you an example. I would say that if a male colleague of mine had maybe is rigid, maybe is difficult to deal with, high maintenance, what we call difficult person, they will not be seen, male colleagues will not be seen as rigid and inflexible. However, women are very quickly judged, very quickly. And I'm not saying that in a way that actually, I'm not addressing a gender conception. I'm addressing an issue that's globally known. It's not in Saudi Arabia. This is a global phenomenon. And I think it's important for both to understand that women at large, there are different ways of perceiving things, of doing things. We talk generalization here, but we definitely talk about, of course it's generalization, but it's also something that is true, very, very much so. So when you talk about perception of women in leadership, I would say that perception of women in leadership changes when women are given the opportunity to lead. And when women are given the opportunity to lead, they will, just like their male colleagues, they will be in a position to not only educate, not only to be integrated, not only to learn, but also to educate others about how to deal with them. And I think that comes from many different things. So the Kingdom has taken big steps towards women integration, right? So first, the perception, the misconception is there, and it's definitely a misconception that is true, very much so. Secondly, how do we address that misconception? Is it fair to say that every man thinks of women this way? Is it fair to say that all women are this way? Is it fair to say that this is just how things are? The answer is no, 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 because there are supporting groups, and we always look for the male counterpart to support. It's a definite role for women to support their women colleagues, for women in leadership to support other women, but definitely there is a role for males to support females. I often speak of not a mentor necessarily, but a champion. And women need to have champions in the workplace. People who actually say, but you know what? We have two candidates, one of them, based on merit, of course, one of them male and one is female. So that champion, the person who identifies the females, is an important part of the equation. Women integration, women equality is a big deal. guys. It's a big deal because not because we want it, not because it's just something fun to have or we want to show the world, because it's important for the economy. It's important for the economy. It's an imperative for us to follow. It's good. It's the good thing to do as well. You have educated people, you have educated females, but also you have women who can actually aspire to support the kingdom, aspire to support our own mission, to support their male colleagues. So going back to the question before going too much on tangent, yes, perceptions are there. The way to treat it is to give the opportunity. This is what's happening in the kingdom, is to give the opportunity to females, which is happening, but also to ensure women and men that we are supporting women in their roles, in their activities, when they are in leadership positions.
Now let's switch gears and talk about the youth. Now we have a youthful attendees here, both students and professionals, and they are working or studying in a variety of fields. Now, each of them is eager to contribute in sustainability of this country. Now, they work in different fields. How can they find their ways into sustainability in terms of their careers, in terms of their studies?
So في مقولة دائما نقول كل من موقعه. We all, every one of us, from where we stand, will have an impact. From where we are, we will have an impact. We impact if you're impacting one person or impacting your class, if you are in a class, if you are a professor or if you're a teacher, or you're impacting your family. Every person has their catchment, their influence area of influence, and they also have their decisions to make about how to do things. As I said in the beginning of my talk, sustainability is not about the environment only or the resources only. It's about choices. Choices we make that impact systems, that impact resources, that impact choices that impact our systems, impact our resources, impact our planet, our precious planet. The one thing that is common to us, our humanity, is very much common to us, and we need to impact that. But definitely, we share in a very important thing, which is our precious planet, where we all live and breathe. So every person has their own التحدي نفسه, the same challenge. We can, from our position, make that impact. Sustainability is not for scientists only. It's not only for the research part. It's about each single one of us making a choice to be, as an individual, taking action that will lead to sustainability of our planet. How can we leave the place better than we received it? Leave this earth better, in a shape that's better than we received it. Can we say that about our generation? No, we can't. No, we can't. If humanity has done one thing, is that it has proven that it can quickly destroy ecosystems, destroy species, destroy resources. Can we flip this? Can we turn it around? Yes, we can. And now, not only are we aware, not only are we more educated, not only we have the know-how, but we have the will. As a nation, as individuals, I often say that no other nation in the world has put resources to support a green agenda as the kingdom has. Look at KAUST, and it's an example. Just look at this university. Is such a good example where a nation put resources, significant resources aside to build a university, to look at problems facing humanity, challenges facing the kingdom, but definitely facing humanity at large. No other place has done this. No other place in the world has done this. So definitely, it's every person can have an impact. Every single individual, changing behavior, changing practices, and having this daily challenge. How can I leave this place in a better shape than when I was born? Imagine just your children, if they grow up with these kind of ideas, if they grew up knowing that in their own right, as a child, they can have an impact. They can change how the globe is left, how we leave our planet. That's a big ask, but think about the confidence of those people, of those young people, if they know that they can make a difference.
I think the biggest takeaway for me from what you said is that sustainability is not only about science, it's about individual choice. And I couldn't agree more. Now it's time for us to take the questions from the attendees. And please, if you want to ask your question بالعربي, we're happy to take your questions.
السلام عليكم. الله يعطيك العافية دكتور نجاح. Do you want to in Arabic or English? So which language?
اللي يريحك.
Okay. هل تعتقدين ممكن أن نوصل في مراحل متقدمة في السستينابيلتي بدون وجود جهاز حكومي مسؤول عن الليجيسليتيف بارت والمونيتورينج والايفالويتنج للسستينابيلتي؟
لا.
ما نقدر.
ما نقدر. As a nation there are so let me put the answer. خليني أجاوبك بالعربي يمكن أحسن. الإجابة مرة بسيطة جدا. المعادلة ما هي لا حكومة ولا أفراد. المعادلة جميع أعضاء النظام يشتغلوا مع بعض. فعشان كده كانت إجابتي عن التحدي الأساسي للمملكة إنه الجهات المختلفة والكومبوننتس أو العناصر النظام كلها تعرف دورها في السستينابيلتي، صح؟ بس كمان تتكلم مع بعض وتشتغل مع بعض. فإجابتي بسيطة جدا، إنه عندك أنت إيكو سيستم، عندك نظام متكامل، نظام بيئي متكامل يجب أن تعمل فيه جميع العناصر لتحقيق هدف. القيادة العليا، لما نتكلم عن القيادة العليا للبلاد، لما تحدد أجندة واضحة لعملها، على فكرة كل الطبقات تشتغل لهذه الأجندة. فالقيادة العليا للمملكة وضحت إنه السستينابيلتي أو الاستدامة مهمة لها، مهمة في كل أسبكت من جميع النواحي، مهمة للمملكة. الآن الدور على الجهات الأخرى إنها تقدم عملها لتخدم هذه الأجندة، لتخدم هذه الأهداف للبلد. الجهات المختلفة، أنا أذكر كان عندنا لقاء مع وزارة الاقتصاد والتخطيط قبل فترة بسيطة يمكن عدة أشهر، وكانوا بيقولوا لنا إنهم مسؤولين عن اثنين من الأهداف الاستدامة الSDGs، مسؤولين عن الكلايمت ومسؤولين عن الجندر انتجريشن. فهم مسؤولين عن انهم يشوفوا القطاعات الاخرى ايش بتعمل، انهم يعملوا القراءات، انهم يشوفوا فين المملكه واصله، يعني فعندنا جهات مسؤوله. ففي جهات مسؤوله على جميع المستويات، في جهات مسؤوله على مستوى فوق الوزارات، في بعض الجهات فوق الوزارات بالنسبه لها الجهات التنفيذيه. وفي جهات مسؤولة كوزارات وهي التي تقدم المراقبة والتخطيط للوزارات الأخرى. ولكن الحراك في المملكة سريع جدا لدرجة أنه رصده لنا إحنا غير يكون سهل، يعني ما يكون سهل، عشان بالفعل المملكة بتتحرك بخطى. ما أقول ده الكلام ببساطة ولا أقوله عشان ألمع صورة ما تحتاج المملكة بتقوم بخطوات غير مسبوقة، ومنها وضع أجهزة، إما كما ذكرت إما أجهزة تخطيطية أو تنفيذية أو حتى أجهزة لرصد البيانات، عشان البيانات بالنسبة لنا تحدي كبير جدا، تحدي رهيب. مين يعرف إيش كاوس بتسوي أو مين إيش بتسوي مدينة كاكس ولا كابسارك، إنك ترصدي إيش بيحصل في المملكة تحدي رهيب. فالعجلة لازم تمشي بحال من الأحوال، ويجب أن تكون ماشية ويوميا يعني عجلتنا كبيرة ضخمة، فإنها تتحرك مسؤولية ضخمة، بس العجلة تحركت. الآن الأشياء الأخرى حوالينها كيف نقدر نساندها جميع الجهات؟ فالإجابة نعم، نحتاج كل عنصر.
If you allow me to add one more thing. أمس كان في البانل كان في ممثل لبرنامج جودة الحياة وممثل لبرنامج تنمية القدرات، وهي من برامج الرؤية، وتكلموا ان كل برنامج من هذه البرامج في كومبوننت مع سستينابيلتي، ماتشنج والسستينابيلتي. بس هنا الكلام ان مين المسؤول؟ ما في احد مسؤول، البرامج موزعه والبرامج تنفذ من قبل عن طريق جهات مختلفه، فما في one entity responsible for sustainability. وهذا اللي يعني اللي هو دم السستينابيلتي ضايع بين القبائل، يعني مو معروف مين المسؤول عنها ومين يحط مؤشرات الKPI ويحاسب عليها. فهذه واحدة من الإيشو اللي أنا أشوفه.
أنا أعتقد إنه هذا الكلام مو صحيح 100%. في تقرير عن السعودي أرابيان sustainability Saudi Arabia movement towards sustainability إذا أنا ماني غلطانة، وبيذكر الKPIs وبيذكر الجهات المختلفة اللي مسؤولة عنها. إنك تضع جهة واحدة غير يعني مو بالضرورة الطريقة الصح، بس هو واحدة من النماذج، هي أحد النماذج يعني. وإحنا عندنا طبعا الجهة العليا موجودة إيش هي، ولكن واحد من هذه النماذج إنك أنت تضع جهة واحدة. أعتقد إنه السستينابيلتي وطريقتنا في التعامل معها ما هي موضة تيجي نيجي اليوم ونراقب إيش صاير فيها. تغيير حياة، تغيير سلوكيات، تغيير نظرة إنسان لنفسه في المجتمع، ونظرة قطاعات لنفسها وإيش بتعمل في مجتمعاتها. يعني قطاع زينا إحنا لو نبغى نقول طب خلاص نبغى نصير إحنا زيرو ويست باي 2030 مثلا، إيش معناها؟ مكيفاتنا نعيد النظر فيها، سياراتنا نعيد النظر فيها، فمعناها تبني الجهات. فأنا أعتقد إنه يجب أن يكون على مستوى الجراس روت وعلى مستوى جهات أخرى، بس إنه يكون enforced على يعني مباشرة. هذا مو صحيح. قد يأتي الانفورسمنت at a later stage عشان أنت تبغى تغير السلوكيات وتبغى تغير الوعي وتبغى تغير درجة الفهم والتأقلم للمجتمع يعني. وبعدين عاد تدخل في عملية الأشياء اللي دخلت فيها الدول العظمى يعني، من السستينابيلتي تاكس، من عاد يبدأوا ساعتها يفرضوا اللي هي الصرامة في التنفيذ. ولكن إحنا في مرحلة مختلفة تماما، ومرحلة شعب متعاطف عشان كله يوث، والدولة بتضع خطة فظيعة للتحول الوطني، خطة عميقة وواسعة شاملة للتحول الوطني. فبتدخل السستينابيلتي في كل إيش، أو الاستدامة في كل أسبكت منها. ولكن برضو أنصح بقراءة الريبورت اللي هو بينظر للمملكة، أو التقرير اللي بينظر للمملكة من جميع النواحي، عشان لا تنسى عشان نغير إحنا موقعنا في التصنيف يجب أن يكون في جهة مسؤولة عن التصنيف. والجهة المسؤولة عن التصنيف معناها الجهة اللي بتدعو اللي بتنظر للجهات المختلفة وبتشوف دورها في التصنيف. ولا تنسى إنه وزارة التخطيط برضو لها دور في ده الشيء عادة. شكرا لك. شكرا.
بس ناخذ سؤال الأخت الموجودة هنا ونقدر نختم.
أوكي. السلام عليكم. اسمي صفاء المنيدي. تكلمت عن تمكين المرأة في مجال العمل والتعليم، وأنا أشوف أن المملكة العربية السعودية متقدمة في هذا المجال، بس المشكلة بالنسبة لنا مش الفرص للمرأة، إنه كيف إحنا في بيئة العمل نشتغل مع باختلاف الجندر واختلاف التفكير. ففي بيئة العمل لما أشتغل مع الجنس الآخر كيف نشتغل رغم اختلافنا وطريقة تفكيرنا وتعايشنا مع بعض. فبالنسبة لي هذه المشكلة وهذه الجاب اللي أنا أشوفها حاليا في السعودية.
النقطتين. النقطة الأولى طبعا الدولة بتضع يعني مجهود جبار لتمكين المرأة. هل إحنا وصلنا؟ لا. بشرك لا.
أيوة
قدامنا مشوار طويل لسه. تقريبا في كل خانة من الخانات إحنا أقل دولة من بين الدول ال20 من ناحية تمكين المرأة. فقدامنا مشوار. الله يعين القيادة، عشان القيادة بتدف، ويمكن الريزيستنس جاي من مكان يعني يمكن لسه المجتمع ما وصل لدي المرحلة، أو القطاعات التوظيفية ما وصلت لدي المرحلة. عشان تمكين المرأة يتطلب إنشاء أنظمة مساعدة للمرأة في أثناء تمكينها أثناء عملها. النظام اللي يساعد المرأة معناه نظام لحضانة الأطفال. في جهات معينة بدأت في تمكين المرأة، سألتهم عندكم حضانة أطفال؟ قالوا نعم. قلت لا ما عندكم، أنا عارفة ما عندكم. بعدين طلع عندهم حضانة أطفال لدكاترتهم اللي في الجامعة، عشان يعني قصة ما في علاقة للطالبات، تمكين المرأة للطالبات وللأعضاء هيئة التدريس. فأبسطها إنك توجد الأنظمة لتساعد المرأة من أداء عملها، من تمكينها يعني. العملية التعايش احنا نسميها جندر انتجريشن، نسميها انه هو تمازج، يعني انتجريشن، تدخل الاثنين يعني عارفه تبغي ميلز وفيميلز انتجريشن. هذه طبعا اكيد من التحديات الكبيره جدا للاثنين. لفتره طويله كنت اقول كانت مداخلاتي لفتره طويله قبل الترانسفورميشن اللي صارت في المملكه، انه مشكلتنا مو مشكله انه الرجال في المملكه العربيه السعوديه ما يبغوا السيدات يشتغلوا، انهم ما يعرفوا كيف يخلوهم يشتغلوا معاهم، ما عنده مشكله تشتغل بس ما يعرف كيف يتعامل معه. ونفس الشيء للسيده. فكلامك صحيح 100%. انا ما اتكلم عن التعامل انه نتكلم مع بعض، انه نتعامل اني اعطيها تقييم اداء، تعطيني تقييم اداء، تاخذ مشوار لين تكون السيده هي الرئيسه، وهي اللي بتتعلق، وهي اللي بتعطي اوامرها، وهي اللي بتعطي بتعطي الخطه اللي التانيين عليهم طاعتها يعني. ياخذ ولا يزال هذا المشوار قائم. ونفس الشيء بالنسبه للرجال. فاحنا دائما نتكلم عن negotiating a third space، إن عادة نفاوض لمنطقة ثالثة، لا هي منطقة النساء ولا هي منطقة الرجال. المفاوضة للحصول على منطقة داعمة للطرفين. وهذه من المهارات اللي نعلمها في القيادة، من المهارات اللي نعلمها للسيدات في بداية مشوارهم وللرجال في بداية مشوارهم. ما هي حصر على جندر واحد. في الواقع ما حينجح هذا الشيء إلا وجود الطرفين يساهموا للإنجاح. عشان على فكرة زي ما قلت سابقا وجود المرأة في سوق العمل احتياج أساسي، احتياج لنا. في كلمة يعني شهيرة لسمو ولي العهد إنه 50% من مجتمعنا سيدات ولا نريد أن يكون 50% من مجتمعنا عاطل. بسيطة جدا المعادلة، ما تبغي 50% من مجتمعك عاطل، ما تبغي يدك واحدة من الأيادي بس تشتغل، المعادلة سهلة جدا. ولكن فعادة تعليم نعلمها من الصغار، من البداية يتعلموها. الحساسيات والتخوف هذا ينشال. فأنت بتتكلمي ردا للسؤال اللي سبق انه لما تبغى تدخل السستينابيلتي والجندر ايكواليتي تبغى تدخليه على جميع المستويات، ما تقدر تقولي لواحد شخص، لواحده منظمه، لواحد قطاع. لازم كل عناصر الايكو سيستم او النظام البيئي تشتغل مع بعض، ويصير كلنا ايش يجي الموج ويرفع الجميع معاه، الجميع يرتفع معاه في كل مكان في كل موقع. احنا هنا لو خرجنا كلنا بتحدي واحد لانفسنا، بنظره لو انت سيده تقولي ايش افضل انا اسوي عشان اساعد زميلي في العمل انه يتعامل معايا افضل، والشخص يقول انا ايش ممكن اسوي عشان اريح زميلتي في العمل. ومو بضروري معناها تقبل بالاخطاء، معناها تقبل احترافي. المفاوضه لمساحه مختلفة يستطيع فيها التعايش جميعنا بطرقنا المختلفة في التعامل، في التفكير، في التعاطف، في الحديث بقوتنا وضعفنا، عشان كل جندر له قوته وله ضعفه، كل جندر له نقاط اللي تضيف قيمة للحديث مختلفة عن الجندر الثاني. كيف نقدر ننشئ هذا المكان؟ واعتقد كلامك صحيح فيه 100%. يجب أن نعمل على إنشاء هذا المكان، ما يجي كده ايش بالصدفة اكسيدنتلي، يجب أن نسعى له، أن نعمل له.
شكرا لك دكتورة نجاح، شكرا، يعطيكم
شكرا لكم جميعا.
السلام عليكم.
اعتذر منك، ممكن ناخذ سؤالك بعدين.
طيب الله يسعدك، يعطيك العافية دكتورة. عندي سؤال بس لو سمحت. طيب حاضر. طيب شكرا. طيب شكرا دكتور.
أي أحد عنده سؤال ممكن تجون على جنب وراح نتناول أسئلتكم. شكرا لحضوركم.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Najah. Thank you, Thana. Okay, so now I would like to invite on stage the head of KAUST Sustainability, Dr. Anna Margarita Lacosta, to talk about the new sustainability website at KAUST. Dr. Anna.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I want just to do a very quick, I would say, not his announcement, very proud to showcase, and I invite you to take a photo and enter our new sustainability website, and why this is important. First of all, it reflects the collective contribution from all the departments at KAUST. If you enter the website, you will see what sustainability means for KAUST. You will see the translation of sustainability in the education, in our research, in innovation, our operations, and our engagement and outreach. A key part of this is the connection with United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and the Vision 2030 from the Kingdom. I invite you all to dive in our website, learn more about what we are doing at KAUST, and make questions. We are here to provide more information, and happy to have all you here at KAUST. And I hope you can see some of the initiatives while you're moving around our campus. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Anna. So before we introduce our next panel, I would like to make two important announcements. Number one, please, if you have one of the translation devices, please make sure to return it as you are leaving the hall to avoid any penalty. وانتم خارجين رجاء رجعوا سماعات الترجمة لتجنب أي غرامة على عدم إرجاع جهاز الترجمة. The second announcement is for the buses. If you are leaving at 4:30, you put your luggage at the 4:30 bus, please know that the bus now will be leaving at 4, because we know some of you have early flights, so the bus will be leaving at 4, not 4:30. تمام؟ الباص اللي كان المفروض 4:30 حيمشي الساعة 4. فرجاء خلوا هذا الشيء في بالكم. من 3:30 الباص حيكون موجود. From 3:30 the bus will be there. At 4 sharp حيمشي على المطار. So if your flight is early, 6, 7, please take that bus. تمام? Okay, now I'll leave you with Fatima to introduce the next panel. Thank you.
Okay. It's our pleasure to invite the chair of the Saudi Youth for Sustainability Advisory Board and the KAUST Provost, Professor Larry Karen, to moderate our next panel discussion about re-imaging the role of education on sustainability with Dr. Susanna Nunes, Dr. Anna Margarita, Dr. Muhammad Noor al-Nabi, and Dr. Georgie Zakili.
Okay, so I hope you guys can hear me okay. So Larry Karen, I'm the provost at KAUST. So what I'd like to do, so we're going to have a brief discussion about education and sustainability and how they come together. I know some of you are apparently going to have buses at 4 o'clock, and I have a call at 4 o'clock, so we're going to be done at 4. By 4. So what I'd like to do is first give everybody an opportunity to introduce themselves and talk a little bit about their journey in sustainability and also the role of education therein. So I'd like to start with our guest from Prince Sultan University. If you could please introduce yourself and talk about your perspective.
Thank you very much, Dr. Larry. First of all, I am very honored and thrilled to be at KAUST. We used to call Prince Sultan University in Riyadh, we are a family. But I'm very thrilled and very delighted to say we came to another family, namely Iman, Tina, they all are very welcoming. Thank you so much. And it's the first time for me at KAUST. I'm very honored on that. Well, the topic on the sustainability is very important, more than ever, as you know. In terms of my journey, I am the director for Center for Sustainability and Climate at Prince Sultan University in Riyadh. And I'll give some statistics in higher education. I think Dr. Naza already mentioned the demographics. As you know, the 8.4 million students in Saudi Arabia. So which is equivalent to nearly 24% of the total population in Saudi. If we think about the higher education in Saudi, there are around 1.62 million students in higher education, around 75,000 faculties here in Saudi. And in terms of the numbers, around 29 public universities, 36 private universities and colleges, and 25 institutes. And Dr. Naza already mentioned, like, the target for the 70,000 students, Saudi students, will be in overseas. And now already we have 53,000 students. And also, like, around 35.6% women participation in the job market. So all these numbers is a very encouraging numbers. And most importantly, this is the Saudi Youth for Sustainability Conference. We see many youths very passionate about the sustainability. And sustainability is not only the green concept, as you all know, it's the economic cohesion. Yesterday, one of the colleagues said the cultural sustainability, the socio-cultural cohesion, economic prosperity, and of course, to protect the environment. So this is the whole ecosystem. As Prince Sultan University, 3 things we are doing. Number 1, the huge commitment from the management side. It means our strategic plan, we are the 4th strategic plan. We are a very young university like KAUST. We started the sustainability last 5-6 years in terms of our strategic plan engagement. And then we already have the Center for Sustainability and Climate. Our curricula is being integrated with the sustainability, and our faculties are also teaching the sustainability in the classroom. Our students, we have a student sustainability club. They're heavily engaged on that. And most importantly, I would like to highlight in terms of our impact in the Saudi community. We have, in terms of SDG 8, we have nearly 100% employability rate. And the gender equality is significant in our university as well, both in terms of the students. We have higher number of female students than male students. Also in terms of the male and female proportion in the, the faculty and also the staff, we have around 50% on that. And as you all know, very recently, 22 universities are in the impact ranking in the Times Higher Education, which is based on the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And you see the huge progress in Saudi Arabia. 2020, only 5 universities there. 2021, it became 12 universities. Now, this year, 22 universities. So it means all the universities taking this concept as a serious note. And we all know that the UN SDG cannot be achieved without the significant role and involvement of the university or the higher education. And one of the key example is Oxford AstraZeneca, as you know. It came from the university. So all the good policy discussion, the informed data, is coming from the university, dating back to like 1088 or so, when the Oxford was created, or the University of Bologna. I'll say more in second round. But yes, we all agree on that. The university has a significant role to change the society and to impact the society. And we all, as a faculty, as a students, I'm very encouraged and very inspired. The young students, the way you think about the future, it's not only us. So collectively, we can change and impact our society in Saudi and also globally. Thank you, Larry.
Okay, thank you so much. Anna, you've been leading a lot of the thinking at KAUST around sustainability and also education. So just quickly, if you can introduce yourself and also your thoughts, your initial thoughts.
Anna Costa, I'm the head of sustainability at KAUST. I'm in the office of the president. So my role is to coordinate or align our joint efforts in sustainability. As I previously presented, sustainability is a cross-cutting area for the entire university. So we have a strong component from our core mission as an institution on the education. And of course, we have also at KAUST large effort on research. So these two areas are critical in terms of our existence and the innovation aspect. Of course, as an institution, we want to operate the most sustainable way. We want to be an example. We want to lead by example. And then from that purpose, we are trying to get better. So we have many actions that the operations team are on the ground, that ranging from energy, water, waste, the way we procure our goods and service, the transportation in our campus, the health and well-being. So all of this as part of the operations, the food that we source in our campus, and then the outreach and engagement, the way we engage in our own community at KAUST, to educate our own community, and the way we interact outside KAUST, also trying to lead by example and to our nearby communities in the entire country. So there's a huge effort from all the departments at KAUST. All of them have a role. We just need to make sure that we are creating the alignments. We are currently working on our sustainability action plan, again in the collaborative effort from these departments, to define goals for our sustainability agenda. Part of this exercise is also to define our climate commitment. And we want to do that in a most scientific way. When we define a goal, we want to make sure that we have a path to achieve this goal. So this is also part of the next month's efforts. But going back to the education aspect, which is the core mission of a university, there's, of course, many courses at KAUST, and I would say all of our education is aligned with sustainability and the UN SDGs. But of course, there are components from sustainability which mostly are related to the social and economic aspects that not so much address it, because we are mainly a university that are doing the environmental sustainability. Now, this is the component that we are actually making an effort to bring in many aspects, eventually this future master or certificate in sustainability that will be bringing the complete position of sustainability from the 3 pillars. So this is currently an effort that is being undertaken by everyone at KAUST, and it's a long journey.
Okay, Anna, thank you so much. Susanna, you want to introduce yourself and kind of give your perspectives, please?
Okay. So I'm Susanna Nunes, so I'm the Vice Provost, but I am also Professor of Chemistry and Environmental Science and Engineering. So before joining KAUST, I was leading a group on membrane technology for sustainable energy. That means hydrogen technology, that means CO2 capture at that time. But it's long ago, it's more than 10 years ago. What we do here in terms of research is, again, membrane technologies serving systems or having separations which are more sustainable for chemical industry, petrochemical, pharmaceutical industry. I think in a country like Saudi Arabia, where you have really a very, very fast change, and you have a huge opportunity to make it really in the right way, to have it sustainable. It's much more different than in a country where you have a system established for a specific separation for decades, and then if you change, you have to really adapt and forget what you had. So it's more expensive than when you start from something that you are creating now in many sectors. And I think this is a huge opportunity, and we should work in advance, not only for capturing CO2, like we probably talk a lot, but also to have a process which are more efficient and economically more efficient and more sustainable also. And we are working on that, supervising students. And from the education, yeah, I think Anna is doing an excellent job in really leading the education on aspects of sustainability. If you saw the discussion yesterday, the panel discussion, I think one of the questions was so directly on our panel, what do the GIGA projects need, what kind of training, of people they need, what kind of training. And they really said they need someone with a deep understanding of what they are doing, like if they are chemical engineers or if they are environmental engineer, but then with that additional component of sustainability knowledge. So that's, and I think this is what we are mainly promoting now.
So, Gheorghe, can you please introduce yourself and your thoughts?
Yes. Can you hear me? Okay, perfect. So I'm George CK, and I'm an assistant professor in chemical engineering, and I joined KAUST about 3 years ago. And I lead the Sustainable Separation Engineering research group. And I've been involved in sustainable development for the last 5 years. So my research is really focusing on developing new materials that are more sustainable for separation processes, mainly for membranes. And I work closely with Susanna. Regarding the education, when I started to teach, then I realized then there are a lot of students who are really interested in sustainability, but they don't know much about it, and they were very curious. So after joining KAUST, my initial idea was to set up a new course for chemical engineering students that focuses on sustainability. And now I teach the Sustainable Process Engineering course unit. And this gives me an opportunity to actually try to embed sustainable thinking and critical thinking to the next generation. So they have this as a toolkit for their future work. And I'm happy to be here, so thank you for the invitation.
Okay, thank you so much. So, so Anna, let me start with you with a question that I'd like the others to also address. So Anna, you're a PhD, you're a scientist by training, but you're also now very much involved in policy or other things related to sustainability. When we think about sustainability, you can only do so much in the lab. At some point, it has to get out in the real world, and it has to influence policy at scale. And so when we think about education and sustainability, it would seem to me that we have to think about education and the science of sustainability, but also in communication, policy. A scientist who is interested in making an impact in sustainability has to be able to talk to policymakers and to political leaders. And that's a different thing than writing a scientific paper. And so when you think about education and sustainability, and you think about young people that we're trying to educate, and then ultimately when they leave the institution, what skills do you think they need to master from the standpoint of science, communication, policy, et cetera, so that they're ready to make an impact in the world?
That's a very good question. That's actually a very important aspect. I would say that any of us that are driving science needs to have the ability of translating the outcomes of your research in something tangible. For those that are not expert on the area but can understand and use that information in a way they can inform their decisions. The language is different, and very often we need to adapt this translation of what we do in something that they can use as a tool for a decision-making process. So this aspect, when you go through the universities, I would say, even from my own experience, it's not something that is being taught. I actually had the luck to be on a university that had a very strong applied science component. So the exposure to actually projects and initiatives that allow you to exercise this capacity as a researcher is very important, because when you sit on the same table with government representatives, policy making, they want practical approach. Whatever we do in terms of
research on a paper doesn't will represent something that will be able to apply onto their day-to-day life. So very often we need to look to these tools that we are working in, and especially me that come from a background using numerical models. I need to be able to, whatever I'm doing on my development for these numerical models, when I reach to the dialogue with the stakeholders and decision making, they are not looking for the specificities of my development of the model, but they were looking for the outcomes of this model. So how can I use your tool that you are developing as a researcher to inform my decisions? And this dialogue and this understanding and the ability to be trained to talk and discuss this on a table, it's something that is valuable when you go to the job market. So I would say this is something that we definitely need to invest. It's not very common that you have this ability when you go out of the university. It's a learning process. Now, the university have the ability to accelerate this learning and give tools to the students. When they go to the job market, they are able to even to inform their leadership. And having a knowledge on sustainability and to have actually a knowledge that allows them to understand the full life cycle assessment of specific process and to allow them to understand those that are leading positions in companies or in ministries, to give the other part of the equation that very often doesn't come to the conversations. But this is the kind of tools we were expecting to students, future students, and with the knowledge on sustainability we can bring to the table. So this is what I would say that's something that will be very, if we can able to do this, it will be something very unique, and I think it's very needed.
Okay, thank you, Anna. So, Professor Nuran Nabi, did I get that close? Mohammed, so if it could, your thoughts on this. You have a leadership role at Prince Sultan University from the perspective of sustainability from the President's office. And you also are chair of the Department of Accounting at Prince Sultan. You're well aware of the soft skills that we think about, the human skills. But of course, sustainability also involves science. So what are your perspectives on this? When we're training young people, how do we make sure that they have the technical competencies, that they can speak to the technical experts, while also having the human skills, the interpersonal skills, the communication skills, to be able to be effective when talking to policymakers? How do we do that as educators?
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Larry, again. In terms of the policy side, we have, every year, we have Sustainability and Climate Week, and we engage the United Nations Environmental Program, the UNCTAD, the UNDP, the Saudi governmental agencies to discuss the big issues and how, as a university, we can contribute, how we can engage. However, my previous colleague in the last session, Dr. Naza, highlighted one of the significant aspects. We need to have an organization, So, for example, all the universities in Saudi, we are doing kind of different way. So we need to collaborate, we need to communicate, we need to share the best practice. And this year, we are also participating with the G20 Indonesia. And the same discussions happening, like disintegration of the communication between the universities. And this is very much needed. And I think the Saudi Youth for Sustainability is a great initiative where all the Saudi students can come together, regardless who is part of Saudi they belong to. In terms of your questions, particularly, Dr. Larry, for example, my background on business, politics and policy. And we have introduced a course, the sustainability governance issues. And as you know, part of the sustainability, the ESG is a big aspect, environmental, social, and governance. And the Saudi, last year, they placed onto the race to zero by net zero carbon country by 2060. And also the Tadawul, the Saudi Stock Exchange, a place to contribute around $400 billion US dollar investment on the environmental, social, and governance issues. So considering the Saudi market and also the UN SDG component, we developed a course applicable for the business student. The challenge, I think some of you highlighted, I think the discipline-based, the skills is very different. For example, you teaching the engineering, your skills for sustainability is different. The skills needed for sustainability for business education. You see, so this is another challenge. So what we did to avoid, each college, they will have a sustainability course, but it will be within the discipline of the engineering, legal side, business side, and so on. This is how we can explore the concept in the classroom more effectively, because we agree the interdisciplinary is important or the multidisciplinary, but this concept to get maximum out of these and to prepare our students for the job market, they need the sustainability skills relevant to their field. Otherwise, it is very tough because, you know, it's like a Red Sea, the whole sustainability concept. So we, as a leader, as a policymaker or the higher management, need to think very carefully how our students can get the maximized output in terms of the job market as well. Because as I told you, the sustainability is a socio-cultural cohesion, economic prosperity, and protecting the environment. So these three ecosystems is a sustainability, and the skills needed from all the aspects. Thank you, Dr. Larry.
Okay, thank you so much. Georgi, I'll change gears a little bit. So Saudi Arabia, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, is currently undertaking transformation from the standpoint of its energy footprint and also the future of energy. Companies like Saudi Aramco are looking at things like hydrogen as a future fuel. And then we have NEOM, which hopes to be completely a city running entirely on sustainable energy, the home of hydrogen globally, hopefully. So what are your thoughts about how Saudi Arabia, and possibly through things like Saudi Youth for Sustainability, can utilize the ecosystem of Saudi Arabia as a laboratory for training in sustainability to position themselves for a career in this space?
Yes, thank you, Larry. So in that aspect, I think Saudi Arabia today is an amazing place to be for our students, because they have so much opportunity to see all of these changes happening in their lifetime and during their education. And since KAUST has a lot of connections with all these initiatives, NEOM and so on, I think this really gives our students a very good chance to engage and actually shape these initiatives in the future. And we have a lot of faculty here at KAUST who are involved actively in the establishment of these initiatives, and there are many research projects going on in collaboration with Aramco and the other companies. So our students can really benefit from these.
Okay, so Susanna, I'm going to give you the last word, and then we'll see if there are any questions. But you know, your thoughts, Susanna, on Saudi Arabia as a platform for training and sustainability, how the Saudi Youth for Sustainability can leverage Saudi Arabia, not just at KAUST, but throughout the kingdom, at Prince Sultan University and all of the universities around the kingdom. How would you suggest that SYS might try to leverage what is going on in the kingdom to provide really special opportunities for the youth of the kingdom and sustainability?
Yeah, I think bringing KAUST to work together with the different universities is something that we have been doing and intensify more and more. And I think this is an opportunity to address also, to improve the training of all of us, so all the students that are being graduated. What Georgie also mentioned, the intense work with different initiatives in the kingdom, in the industry. I think this is is an incredible place to be, with change going on, and where you can shape this change, and where you can not only learn, but use what you learn to really shape the future of Saudi Arabia.
Okay, so are there any questions? If anybody has any questions, that you can just go up to the mics on either side. All right, so obviously we've covered this topic exhaustively. Go ahead, go ahead.
Hello, thank you so much for your time here today. I think my question is more about what is the role of art and culture and creativity, well-being in education to achieve sustainability and the SDGs? That's still a gap in our education system. You need more clarification?
So Professor Anna, you want to take that?
Art and culture.
Yeah.
Well, this is interesting. Yeah, I would say that creativity is an important part of what we need to drive in terms of sustainability. The expression that we can bring alive in terms of any forms of art contribute even to connection to the education. You know, a poem, music can help us to educate. Art piece can help us to educate. A story behind a specific art piece and collective effort, and for example, from a recycling of a waste, for example, it translates in a message. So we can always make a connection to any cultural, artistic movement and sustainability. And it has a very important component. Allow to express ourselves, even in terms of how we feel about sustainability, and allow others to understand our thoughts is also very critical. We do have also the responsibility to bring this creativity alive as part of sustainability. So yes, it's something that we need to encourage. We are a science and technology university. It seems that we don't have art, but we do have an Office of the Arts, and they are very committed with sustainability. Very often we see art pieces around the campus, and it's again a way of a call to action, raise awareness, educate. So it's in fact a very important point, and I think we need to bring more as part of the movement.
Do you see a way, how can we do that? How can we integrate art and culture and creative ways of learning and teaching? Because classrooms today, yes, is giving us knowledge that we need, but it's basics. But in order for us to deal with the challenges that we're facing in the future and currently, we need new ways of thinking and looking at things and new ways interacting with our environment and ourselves. Do our classrooms today offer us that? Yes or no? If not, how can we do that?
So let me take that. So so first of all, welcome to the panel. So these are excellent thoughts, and what I would simply say is, first of all, we don't have all the answers, and I think we would all agree that the ideas you have and the passion that you seem to be showing is exactly what we need. And you know, this is the Saudi Youth for Sustainability program, and I would just simply encourage you to pursue those thoughts, because I think we all would agree with you.
Connect me. Thank you.
To add that, really to thank all the students for this organization. I think this idea of having students organizing conference is very important. We should really take that for other topics also, because that's the way of learning, is really taking the responsibility and organizing an event like that, inviting important people, really the main players, and I think this is an excellent way to do it.
I would agree, but I would add, for the next SYS conference, we should have something on the arts. I agree. I mean, the arts is a way of capturing, you know, the soul of people, and sustainability is certainly something that we need to capture people about. And so I would encourage you, this will not be the last time we do this type of conference, and we should absolutely do more in the arts related to this. Any other? Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, thank you for the panel discussion. My question is, as we know, Saudi Arabia is, energy mostly oil. And when we talk about sustainability, how we can match those two from standpoint of view.
All right, Georgi, I'm going to let you take that. The hard questions I give to you guys.
So energy and sustainability. So yes, we are here in Saudi Arabia, and of course, when we think about Saudi Aramco, even Saudi Aramco has a sustainability initiative. So energy, of course, there are different sorts of energies, but oil will be around for quite a long time. And therefore, there are still initiatives within sustainability that tries to make the petrochemical industry more sustainable. Did it? Yeah.
Hello? Yeah. I think last October, the COP26 in Glasgow, our Crown Prince, His Royal Highness Mohammed bin Salman, announced a net zero carbon country by 2060. And there is a plan by 2030 that 278 million tons carbon dioxide emissions by 2030 per day. So it's a huge place. And the Prime Minister of the UK, Boris Johnson, tweeted based on that, this is a landmark initiative or the place by the Saudi government to move forward. So I think the plan we have, three things we need. I think all the panelists, we agree. Of course, as a higher education institutions, we have challenge. We need a plan, we need to action on that. And number three, we need to publish. Many universities, not only in Saudi, global, this is the challenge for sustainability. We need to see the best practices. And I'm very amazed to see your new website today, Anna. We need the website, what other universities are doing, what best practices are there. To share the best way, it is very important to publish the data. And unfortunately, the global perspective, few universities publish the data. So again, I think the Saudi Vision 2030, the Saudi Green Initiative have a very good plan and very encouraging figure to accomplish by 2030 and also 2060. I would also like to highlight, we are the first university in Saudi to place net zero carbon university by 2060 as per the Crown Prince announcement. And what we want, all Saudi universities to make a place on that. And what I meant by the universities means the university administration, the students, all together to make a place on that, to make a better planet. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead. Yes.
Thank you all very much for a really great talk. My name is Bashir Hassanov, a PhD student at KAUST. So, for me, the sustainability is to adapt to your environment. And I just want to ask this question. Do you think, everyone agrees at this point that we have a problem with the sustainability and we need the solutions? Do you think that we need to find game-changing solutions for all these problems, or we need to look back how we were dealing, how we were adapting to the nature previously?
I don't know if I hear perfectly what you said, but you mean if we have to act in advance, for instance, or we have to adapt with the consequence?
Yeah, we need to really focus on the technology and to think about really game-changing solutions, or maybe there are solutions in the history that we just need to look back.
I think we are on the path where everybody wants to live in a completely sustainable world, but it's will not be there in 2 or 3 years. I think we have a path. We have to use technology that are available today to move in this direction, and at the same time, work to develop technology that will be game-changing in 20, 30 years or in 2060. No? So I think we don't have any idea what kind of technology will be available at that time. But to enable that, we need to use what we have now. We have to start in advance. Start now. We should have started long before, but really to use everything that we have today to facilitate that, but also be prepared to have new technology.
Okay, so all right, all right. So I think we're. All right, go ahead.
I have one question. Do you think establishing a new concept similar to GDP in order to measure the performance and assess the country compliance to social, environmental, and economic will play a role? Because currently what I see is only relying on GDP. To Anna, Dr. Anna, please.
Well, I must say that the alignment with GB it's not really the case in the sense that, of course, money drives, unfortunately, our society. But I would say that under the framework of the United Nations and the Sustainable Development Goals, we have, as Dr. Najah showed before, KPIs for each country, and they are being measured. So currently, Saudi Arabia, like other countries in the world that are part of the United Nations, are being assessed on their performance for sustainability. All the pillars of sustainability, being social, economic, environment, are there represented. And so these KPIs exist and being assessed. And again, it's actually are levers for the countries to act on each SDG. So it means that the effort is in all fronts, needs to be, and it's not only driven by on one specific KPI, but many of them. Perhaps we don't see it as it is a part of the overall driver of sustainability, but there is a pressure around these assessments, because every time a report comes out every year, the countries feel that perhaps they are not doing enough, or they need to act in order to move up in the ranking. We all want to get better. We want to work to a better world. So I would say that this is an understanding in terms of a country action towards sustainable development. It's bigger than the GDP and needs to be.
Can I add something, Larry? You know, there are 4 out of 5 countries in the world are sharing less than 1% GDP for education. So this is a very key statistics, you know. GDP, because we're talking about the higher education, right? And if the country has less commitment to the higher education, innovation, like, you know, the infrastructure and so on, how you all can innovate? The guy, he said the technology, change. Like, you know, this needs the policymakers' huge commitment on the GDP, on the higher education. But unfortunately, the global, and this has to be communicated with the G20 or the policymakers and so on. But one of the aspect my colleague Dr. Anna said, GDP is not the key measure for the sustainability issue, because, you know, a lot of non-financial issues are here. So everything is one of the aspect, economic aspect. Yesterday I was very amazed because most of the questions were asking job market. I said this conference we are discussing sustainability, but you all young people are very concerned about job market. The job market statistics are very good in Saudi Arabia. So I think that it's not only about the financial indicator. It's both financial and non-financial indicators on that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll have one more question. Go ahead, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Aisha Somadani. Well, whenever someone talks about sustainability, many of us think of environment sustainability. And if we learn something during this conference, is that sustainability covers more aspects other than environment. How education will cover all these areas without neglecting parts, and how we integrate all these different aspects of sustainability without being very generic and losing the attention of the youth and the students.
You can start and I continue.
Thank you. Well, you know, this is the big question you ask, and we are discussing last couple of years with the policymakers, the ministries, and so on. Of course, the university has a significant role for sustainability. The UN Sustainable Development Goals cannot be achieved without the significant role. You all are the future of Vision 2030. And as I told you, 4.63% of the population of Saudi are in the higher education sector. So you can see each of you can impact significantly in the Saudi community, right? So the role of the government, the role of the Ministry of Education, the role of the university, and the university's role, three types. From the higher management, their commitment. From the faculty side, how they can bring this concept in the classroom practices, and the students as well. Your activities in the campus, your daily life, your social life, and then how the international policymakers are helping in this effort. So there are various multi-level stakeholders are engaged. We all need to work together. That's what we can say. And I'm because you see, like, you know, I came from Riyadh. I'm very grateful to our colleague in KAUST. This is how we need to, like, you know, collaborate, cooperate, share the best practices, and we can move forward. So, but with the Vision 2030 and these, of course, collectively, we can do something better of course, for accomplishing Vision 2030. Thank you.
Well, I must, coming from, we are in a science and technology university, of course, the environmental aspect is key here. How can we bring the other components and actually to allow students first to be in touch with subjects that are not being directly taught. So the idea of having a more holistic approach to sustainability in terms of the courses that are being offered. And again, as we said, diving into the curriculum and understanding how we can present the courses and lining them and making the connections to the United Nations SDGs, for example. But go beyond the classroom. The experience that students have, and I'm talking about the Students for Sustainability and the Saudi Youth for Sustainability in this university, and I hope this will be an example for other universities. The way we are doing things here are empowering students to be engaged with the operations and the needs of our campus. So when they come with proposals and they need to exercise the thoughts, not on the environmental side, but look to the other components. Sometimes they come to proposals that, in terms of economic impact, are huge, and sustainability is a combination and equilibrium from all the aspects. Yes. So then they are put, in a way, a practical exercise of sustainability. Real projects, real work conditions. So I would say this exercise of having sustainability students embedded and actively working in our university, driving projects like this, like Professor Susanna Nunes said, the example of bringing this conference and the impacts of a specific initiative like this. So having these thoughts is also an important part of the education. So I would say that beyond the classroom, there is a role. And the universities also have a responsibility to expose students to that component. They will get ready for the market if they have this experience. So it's a more comprehensive than only the classroom and the curriculum. It's actually to have the practical side of sustainability and real case projects.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, so, all right, we'll go one more. Go.
It's for Professor Anna. So I was really interested to one of your papers that you published in August 2009. It was about procedures for estimation of modeling uncertainty. So we have some issues related to the data existence in the market meanwhile in terms of research. Let me take the words from the United Nations report 2019. They said, knowledge is existed, but further research need to be undertaken. So from 2009, you said we need to just have a cooperation with other authorities, for example, to set some of the estimations. So my question is, from 2009 until 2022, right now, what was the conclusion that related to the partnership with the authorities? Is the estimation until now provide some of the modeling uncertainties? This is the question. Thank you for your time.
Well, this is a very specific question. I will be happy to dive in more detail. We're talking about air quality models. I don't know if people are very interested to dive in. Actually, a very aspect of the research that hopefully we'll have happening soon and also in our university. This is a translation for decision makers and policy makers. When you use this tool, so basically this paper from 2009 was actually assessing the uncertainty of certain models, and specific for air quality. And this has an impact as a tool. And this is critical why, when we use these tools and we inform decision makers about the outcome of a specific model, in this case air quality, which is the concentration of atmospheric pollutions in urban areas specifically, and to inform municipalities or governments to take action, air quality management, we need to tell them that we are using these tools that we developed under research. But there is an uncertainty associated to that. It means that everything that is there is a reference value, but there is an uncertainty associated. So the paper comes under that. Thank you for reminding me from my long journey as a researcher. As part of the data and making the connection to sustainability, as Dr. Najah mentioned today, this is critical. We need to have baseline assessments to inform our decisions. And this is the part of a conversation we are having regarding, for example, our climate commitment, greenhouse gas emissions inventories. We can all make commitments. We can do it today, a pledge, right? We can say we want to be carbon neutral by 2040. But the question I put all of that is, how are we going to reach these targets, right? And this assessment can only be made if we make a first baseline. And then inform our next steps based on this reference and keep tracking of our performance year after year. So this is a part of the uncertainty definitely is come. And when I will request now data to the operations team of our university on our transportation, our business travel, the emissions associated with business travel, our electricity consumption, of course there's uncertainty associated to that. We are aware of that. But it's data that is very valuable to inform our next steps.
Okay, so thank you so much, everybody, all of speakers. I think we're going to call this session to an end. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much for the great panel discussion. Next, we are honored to invite Princess Abir Al Saud, founder and chairwoman of the Sustainable Development Association, TALGA, to moderate the last panel discussion about youth leadership in sustainability. Also, we would like to invite Fadil Al-Mukhtar, President of KAUST Student for Sustainability, Ragad Fath-Eddin and Saeed Barzon, Youth Delegates G20, and Riouf Al-Sha'ri, leader of Spinbiro.
Your Highnesses, Your Excellencies, esteemed faculty members and audiences. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sustainability is not new to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. In fact, back in the 1970s, Dr. Saleh Al-Adel, previous president of King Abdulaziz City for Science and Technology, was one of the participants representing the 22 member states at the United Nations who drafted the first document on sustainability, which is called Our Common Future. And that was in the 1970s. Today we're speaking about sustainability in 2022. Sustainability today is no longer a question of right and wrong, but of survival. Young people, better than anyone else, tend to understand this. This makes sense because, after all, the planet is theirs to inherit. We are fortunate that there are youth leaders who not only feel passionate about sustainability, but committed to building the skills and insights that they need to make a real change. This panel, entitled Youth Leadership in Sustainability, will examine some of the questions and ideas that are most pivotal in this moment. Through Vision 2030, Saudi Arabia has sought to reduce dependence on oil, diversify the national economy, and enhance public service sectors such as health, education, infrastructure, recreation, and tourism. Every day throughout Riyadh, Jeddah, Mecca, Medina, Al-Ula, Tabuk, and many other cities all around Saudi Arabia, you can hear the excitement around sustainability from the youth. At the same time, youth leaders are some of the most direct and frank thinkers in this area, willing to take an objective look at our circumstances and to chart a way forward for us all. I am proud to moderate this panel and looking forward to hearing from our experts. Before I introduce these four men and women to you, however, I would like to say that watching them up to now, I feel better about the decades ahead, better than I have in a long, long time. Their bold ideas and ceaseless energy have moved me to see that even at a time of such social and economic uncertainty worldwide, there are professionals right here in the kingdom who are going to shine a light on the clearest pathways forward and look out for us in the midst of historic difficulties. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Abir Al Saud, and I am the chair of the Sustainable Development Association, which we call as an abbreviation TALGA. TALGA goes hand in hand with the conference's theme about thrivability, for the fact that the tree still lives in Saudi Arabia for more than 1,500 years, representing our slogan, we don't want to just merely survive, we want to thrive. I would like to inform our esteemed audience that after we finish, I will be opening the floor for questions at the very end. The four panelists are some of the brightest and most promising young leaders in our country. They have already accomplished so much in their careers as students, as business owners, as volunteers, and as collaborators. And yet it is evident that none of them is satisfied. They are all working harder than ever before, pushing themselves for our benefit, venturing into unexplored intellectual territory to look for the most significant solutions to our environmental dilemmas. Fadl al-Mukhtar, since earning his Bachelor of Science in Chemical Engineering at King Fahd University and Minerals, has been studying for his Master of Science at King Abdullah University of Science and Technology. He has served on a variety of climate and environment-focused programs. Riouf Naji Sha'iri is the leader of Spenvero Initiative, a platform engineered to connect like-minded people who are now working to protect the environment. She earned her Master's of Science in Bioengineering at King Fahd University of Petroleum and Minerals. Some of the illustrious organizations which she has worked are Al-Arab Laboratory, NASA, and L'Oreal Paris. Ragad Fath al-Din is the founder of Sangha Istidama Hub, which is named for the Sanskrit word for community and the Arabic word for sustainability. She is well as a world-renowned, internationally certified holistic health and well-being coach. Her focus has been on the impact that art and education can make on sustainability efforts. Saeed Bazroun is a social entrepreneur whose Jade Art and Coffee House has become emblematic of forward-thinking, innovative approaches to business. He is studying for his Master's of Arts in International Affairs and Political and Economic Development at Columbia University. Previously, he studied at the University of Maryland, where he earned his Bachelor's of Science in Chemical Engineering. Ragad and Saeed are also Y20 delegates in the Sustainable Livable Planet and Youth Employment track. To all those who doubt our future, who think that environment destruction is a foregone conclusion, I merely point to these four, Fadl, Riyuf, Ragad, and Saeed, as proof that hope is a reasonable mindset. Throughout positive thinking, through large-scale action, through personal responsibility, and through social enterprise, as our panelists will explain, tremendous results are within our reach. I will also say that I am thrilled at the focus of this panel, because in 10, 20, or 30 years, it is the youth who will stand over this planet, guiding us, leading us, and encouraging us to ask ourselves what our one and only home is worth to us, and what sacrifices we ought to make to keep it safe and healthy. By the end of this talk, you should feel, if not optimistic as I do, at least better informed about the state of sustainability in Saudi and the next steps for us all. Thank you. So I will now ask each of our panelists a series of questions about their own sustainability work and what insights they have from their efforts and their studies. Saeed Bazroun, I would like to start with you first. You made a career switch in order to focus on community building. In what ways has that career switch impacted your views of entrepreneurship and sustainability?
Check. Okay. Thank you very much. I made a career switch from engineering to public service in the last 3 or 4 years. And that opened my eyes to a more sustainable development in Saudi Arabia, nationally and locally, and globally through the Y20 participation. What I learned that the opportunity is there, the gap is there, and there's a lot of ways to contribute to Saudi's development toward a more sustainable community, more sustainable youth, and more sustainable development goals in Saudi Arabia. As a business owner, I had the chance to communicate with the community, the local community around me, and through that, I understood that our youth is in dire need to guidance and to inspiration. I feel that as a young entrepreneur and a young delegate, I have the responsibility to define what should be done, to give guidance, and to learn. And this learning curve has been really a tough journey, but it was a very, very amusing and inspirational journey for me, especially with our vision as a country and our guidance from our leaders and our community leaders also around us.
That's very interesting. Thank you so much, Saeed. Ragad, I would like to ask you a question. As an expert communicator, you see the nuance in narratives around sustainability. What can we do to affect this narrative so that it becomes more urgent?
Hello? You hear me? All right. I'm not sure the situation needs to be more urgent than it is. Urgency is there already. And for the longest time, that was the way we communicated or shared raised awareness on climate change or sustainability. But I think the time has changed today because with that urgency, our youth felt overwhelmed. They reached a state of paralysis because of fear. And when you reach that phase of paralysis, you don't act. You don't see hope. You don't see reason for you to act. I think the narrative today has to change, not because we need it to, but because it can. Because there's hope, because there is empowerment, because finally, as a nation, as international communities, as organizations, we're coming together and setting a collective harmonized agenda to achieve that, the SDGs and our way forward in recovering and thriving together. So the narrative has to be optimistic. The narrative has to be visionary and not based on what we wish, but really looking at where we are today and say, okay, so what are the most creative ways we can do it? Where I stand today as a human being, my narrative, everything that I've lived, how can it serve me? How can it inform me? What elements and what other variables do I have that could pave the way? We all contribute, and our story, we're here for a reason. So look at where you are today and how you could contribute to that narrative of us moving forward. That's for us to decide on.
Thank you. Thank you, Ragad. Fadil Al-Mukhtar, you have a very, very impressive resume. My question goes to you. You have served with the Students for Sustainability at King Abdullah University of Science and Technology. From your experience, what has been most encouraging about working in this role?
Thank you, Abir, for this question. I think there are a lot of things that have been impressing to me during this journey of being the president of Students for Sustainability. To touch upon several aspects, one aspect is that it's really interesting to see people coming from different backgrounds, different nationalities, and what unites them really is this goal of trying to create a hub that thinks of sustainability in every aspect they do. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but Students for Sustainability Club is the largest club among all the clubs of KAUST, and it shows something. It shows that people are going voluntarily towards sustainability. It's not a course, it's not an exam, it's not something they have to do. They come voluntarily from different backgrounds, from different personalities to participate in sustainability, which is something that makes my heart cold, that people want to make this change. They just want to find the opportunity, the right resources, the right empowerment to do this change. Another encouraging aspect was that KAUST society or KAUST community is like relatively small. So when you try to apply a project, when you try to make a change, you can see the impact of your change faster than other communities. So for example, we developed several projects. For example, I don't know if you know, but the supermarkets we have here in KAUST, they don't provide single-use plastics. You have to use recyclable plastics. Most of the restaurants do. And these changes started with ideas from students. And those projects have been implemented by students themselves. So seeing this change, especially for youth like us, you can tell us you can wait for 10 years to see the change, but when you see the change in several months, you'll feel more motivated if you see this change. So I think KAUST is an example, and I think this conference and the Saudi Youth for Sustainability idea came from having such a society in the kingdom and even the Middle East. So I don't know, some people went to KAUST Smart Home yesterday. This is an example of sustainable products that have been implemented to make an ideal, let's say, experimental home for people to live sustainably. So we need to expand this from KAUST to the kingdom. And Saudi Youth for Sustainability wants to advertise this idea because KAUST has the resources, has the minds, and has the passion. And I think the kingdom has a similar way. So we need to expand this mindset outside of KAUST to the whole kingdom.
Indeed, this is an accomplishment to, celebrate. This is great. I salute you for that. Great. Well done. My next question goes to Riyuf Naji Sha'ari. I would like to ask you first to explain to us more about your initiative, Spenviro, and what obstacles did you have to overcome along the way?
Spinvaru is a Saudi youth initiative. So it is basically voluntary initiative. It's created by a group, and this group, they want to put like fingerprints of their society. So it is like ecosystem-based community. Where you can find opportunities about the sustainability, whether you can find, jobs or volunteers, or you can find, explore eco-friendly stores, conference, and etc. So it is primarily for the environmentalists, environmental specialists, and students and researchers as well. And regarding the obstacles, we faced many obstacles, including finding funding. Not only this, but also, resources, volunteers to be part of our initiative, support. So I would mention one of the most important challenges that we faced. We launched Spinvaru in February as no-code platform site. In the program called Active Citizens. And this is a program hosted by British Council in collaboration with the Saudi Youth for Sustainability. After several, surveys, 78% of people were excited to join our communities. But still, we had a challenge. We had to prepare our site as, code site, because the ones that we are, the ones that there in the ones that there exist is not actually imagine of the Spinvaru platform. So we searched for the programmers, and the programmers' prices were very high for us. And as you know, we are students. Some of us are students, and others are freshly graduated students who seeks for job. So that's a challenge, right? But one of the members of the challenge, she's Rahaf Al-Sahli. She's a member of the Spinvaru, and she is, a physics graduate student. She insisted us on learning programming by ourselves. And now, although we don't have any background about programming, alhamdulillah, now on the way to launching our platform. So this is a mainly story about Spinvaru initiative.
MashaAllah, I really salute you for it's self-taught and you started from zero.
Yeah,
you taught yourself everything, and that's really not easy. So you should be so proud of yourself. My second question for you, Ruyuf, is what are the most challenging barriers currently preventing youth from making action to work towards sustainability?
That's a great question. First of all, lack of knowledge. Still, we have gaps about knowledge, and also lack of the access, resources. Not only this, but also lack of enlightenment about making decision. So, and how we can find opportunity. This is the main important thing for us.
Interesting. Okay, I have a question to all of our delegates. And this is an open question for all of you. What is the best case scenario for our planet 10 years from right now, in your opinion?
Let's start first.
Sure. 10 years from now, I think the way I see our state is, I'm going to say a sentence now. I just want you guys to not listen to it, but imagine it. It's not just a poetic thing that I'm saying. It's more of, maybe I'm wrong, but just give it a go, okay? If I said the state of the world, imagine the state of the world that we live in, with all the good, with all the bad, is nothing but a reflection of the state of the citizens of the world. So if this statement is correct, it would tell me that in order to change our external world, we'll have to invest in our internal world, in ourselves. And there's so many ways that we could do that. The way I look at it is through positive psychology. And there is this model called PERMA model of positive psychology, which is the 5 elements of well-being, which are positive emotions, engagement, so you know your characteristic strength and you act upon it, so you position yourself right in whatever you do and you get life satisfaction out of it, positive relationships, so you communicate to have better society, meaning, a sense of purpose. What are your values? What drives you? Why are you here? What can you contribute to this narrative, collective, shared narrative? And achievement. So you accomplish something and you give back to society. So that's how you can measure a well-being. But we still haven't tapped into that. We have this vision in terms of SDGs and Saudi Vision 2030, and we're empowering as much as I can, but I think in terms of education, I think I'd like to see in 10 years that our education system really evolve to meet the demand of what we need as leaders today. Our classrooms, and I've mentioned that earlier today, I tried to get some information on where we are today. There's a lot for us to do. Our classrooms need to raise the kind of futures we need. They need to think differently. They need to interact with themselves and their environment differently. And we need an environment that offers them that. So let's focus on our education. Let's come together on that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's different ways as well.
Very good answer. Do you want to add something?
Yeah, I think this is a very insightful point from Raghad. And I think the collective results that we're going to see in 10 years is a reflection of our individual behavior. And I think us as students, we believe in numbers, we believe in statistics, we believe in reports. So when we look at the United Nations climate change reports, I don't want to give you pessimistic results, but this is what they say, that if we go with the same trend, if we continue doing the same behavior, by 2050, more than 44 million people will be relocated from their houses as a consequence of climate change actions. This is the best scenario. They just said that. This is the best scenario if we continue doing the same, not even worse. So I think we should change from within, and I believe that sustainability is a well-being, it's a state of mind, and we should not underestimate our individual behavior. Some people might argue that if the industry is emitting a lot, then if I turn off my light at night, that wouldn't make much of a difference. But if you collectively look at this picture, it will make a lot of change because we are the customers and we are the future decision makers. So we are the biggest impactful people in this equation.
Interesting. We had an earlier discussion, Saeed, Fadl, and Raghad, about the same topic, and I would like to highlight it today with our audience. We were speaking about how the SDGs could be something that individuals could tackle or tap on, actually. So, Raghad, my question goes to you on narrative as well. So can you tell us more about IDGs and how does that contribute to sustainability? If people acted upon sustainability as an individual, yeah. Which IDGs is a Scandinavian, I guess, initiative, yeah.
It's inner development goals. Inner development goals, right? Correct, yeah. So I think today what we've learned that sustainability is not only about climate change or the environment. Sustainability is about everything. It's about us, it's about how we consume, it's about how we produce, it's about how we think, it's about what we believe in, it's about our values. So I'm very happy to see that on a UN international level, we've reached a point where to achieve the SDGs, we are looking into ourselves, our inner world, and how that is connected. I don't want to repeat myself because I've already mentioned it, but on an international level, that's existing. But it's also leading to something called Wellbeing Economy. If you haven't heard of it, please do check it out. There's an alliance called We All, Wellbeing Economy Alliance. Wellbeing economy is all about, it's an economic system, and what it says, we put people and the planet in the center of decision making. So whether you are a human, whatever decision you make, you put humanity and the planet in the center of that, and then you make a choice. You are a government, you are an organization, you are a producer, you're a consumer, whatever you are, that's how you make decision. You think of a holistic approach to things. Does that offer a good answer to you?
Yeah, very good, very enlightening answer. Thank you so much. Does any of the other delegates want to add something to that?
I might add a point here, because being a member of Students for Sustainability, seeing people coming from different backgrounds, from different environments, I meet with students coming, for example, from Scandinavian countries who are having this IDGs concept and coming with like different way of living, makes you reconsider yourself. And I had people, for example, coming from the Netherlands. They have this initiative called Precious Plastic, where they internally recycle their own water bottles into art, into something creative. So sustainability touches upon all aspects. It's a way of thinking. It's not any longer a privilege. It should be something within you, in all aspects.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, very good answer. Thank you. Saeed, going back to you. After you graduated from college, you worked as a barista. How did that work, combined with your already impressive academic background, color your thinking about social enterprise?
So I graduated in 2017. I came back and I worked full-time engineer, production engineer at SABIC. And I worked, as you said, as a barista, as a part-time barista. My schedule was very busy, but the thing that allowed me to just squeeze everything in is my passion to connect with people. And through connecting with people as a frontline customer service person, I let down my guards and I started listening to the community around me. And it's gonna give you a lot of insight about what sustainability is and how private businesses and entrepreneurs can reshape our understanding to sustainability. What I very much enjoyed listening to in the conference yesterday and today, that we did not just focus on climate change, we did not just focus on environmental changes, but we also focused on the human capital. We focused on sustainable communities and sustainable workplaces, employment, youth development, extra. So when I worked in the coffee shop, I had to interact with 100+ people every single day instead of just interacting with machines in the plant as a chemical engineer. So I used to work with machines in the morning and with people at night. And that made me think further on how these interactions can make a difference. So when I started my social enterprise, Jade Art and Coffee House, we focused on 4 principles that I noticed that we need a lot of support in: mental wellness, women empowerment, youth empowerment, and finally, raising the awareness of social enterprises within our youth community. And finally, we chose a theme that Ragad mentioned in her question to the last panel, which is art and culture. We chose that theme for our shop to encourage young artists to actually contribute within the shop, a private business, to the community. And that's the whole idea of a social enterprise. If you have a social enterprise, you have to focus your intentions as a business toward your community. So you're making profit, but you have to dedicate sort of some percentage of this profit toward the community building, and you have to choose certain things to focus on. I have a story I want to share, and that's how I just want to link to you the idea of having a social enterprise with sustainability and sustainable communities. So last year, we had our first art exhibit in the shop that they have, Jade. And that art exhibit hosted young artists from Saudi Arabia, locals. Their ages varied from 13 years old to 24 years old. That's it. And it's their first art exhibit. One of the artists' name was Jawad Al-Umair. He was 16 years old with a very brilliant talent. He's struggling in school, in the educational system, because he's very much passionate about art theory, art history, and he has a very distinctive way of thinking about what he wants to see from the artist in Saudi Arabia. He came to the shop once and he showed me one of his paintings, as we just talked. And I told him, that's a very, very great painting. Like, I would love to have it hang in the shop. And he got shocked. I gave him the opportunity, we hanged his painting, and then I invited him to the exhibit. He joined the exhibit and he was very phenomenal. He communicated with the community around him and he talked to them about who he is, his art, his passion. He's 16 years old, middle school. After the exhibit, I told him, what do you want to study in the future? And he said, I don't know, maybe engineering, just like you. And I was like, but you have such a great talent and such a great eye for art and culture. And he said, I don't think that I have an opportunity. And here I paused. As a social entrepreneur, as a person who has a business to advocate for youth empowerment, I told him, you do have a chance to actually pursue a degree in art. You do have a chance to pursue a degree that relates to you, and you can be a brilliant artist, a Saudi artist. And this story, and now we're working, actually, me and Jawad, to develop his portfolio. He joined another art exhibit, Extra. He's doing very well within the art career currently, and he's in first year high school this year. And he's thinking about going in a scholarship and to get his art degree later on. But the point I want to deliver here that Jawad, maybe in 10 years from now, or 12 years from now, he's going to be a PhD student. He's going to graduate with an art degree and come back here and teach our Saudi young individuals and art. And one of those individuals might be my son, my daughter, you know? And that's the definition for me of sustainable community building.
So beautiful, beautiful story.
So
Yeah.
that's how I want you to see how private businesses can actually impact individuals in a way to build a very, very, very effective community in the future.
And I'm a very strong believer of using cultural and artistic platforms as ways to, deliver sustainable messages or, do social positive impact. So that's a very, very beautiful, inspiring story. Yeah.
Thank you. And I will tell Jawad that I talked about him when I get back home.
I want to ask Riyuf a question. Almost 70% of the Saudi population consists of youth. As someone who has worked extensively with youth, you are in a key position to help. How can we involve and empower youth more to make decisions about sustainability?
Well, that's a great question. And I think the thing that we have to break the barriers for the youth first and get them involved for the table, because once the youth, they are involved to the table, they are bring, a diverse perspective as they are innovators, and they have a diverse, diverse perspective, they have a diverse relationship. Yes, we have, yes, as I mentioned before, there is a lack, there is lack of knowledge, yes. But still, we have experiences, like education, interact with the people, and relationships. We participate in initiatives. We are participating in programs. We are participating. So I think it's, if we just break down the barrier for the youth and bring them involved to the table, this is the important main thing for the youth.
Can I add to that?
Yeah, you can add.
Thank you, Riyuf. Yes, of course, تفضل.
Yeah, one of the issues or the things that I think the youth struggle with, along with like bringing them to the table, and as we're working with a lot of young people, is guiding them through the structures, because young people have brilliant ideas, have knowledge. Sometimes they just put a lot of effort in the wrong place. And after they don't see an impact, a short-term impact, because in KAUST you might see a short-term impact because small society, but in the real world, when you work in a ministry or in a big organization, you might not see this because you lack this way of structured way of working, or the way of convincing others or stakeholders to believe in your idea and implement it. So there is a gap between the idea and bringing this idea into reality. So for example, here in KAUST, we have people who graduated with their own startups. There's companies like Idama, like Red Sea Farms, like Wayaket. All of them are owned by students who brought this idea and brought it into a reality to make a project out of it. So I believe youth should have all those, let me call it, core skills of the working organizations.
Yeah, and they are leaders of tomorrow.
Very true. Fadl, a question to you again. Underlying our greatest efforts towards sustainability is the reality that we are all making choices that affect the environment every day. How do you apply the concept of sustainability awareness on a personal level?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think most people think of personal behavior or being sustainable is that you rethink about the material that you use, is that you use reusable things. But there are a lot of things that people don't think about. And I think one of the most points to emphasize on our discussion is that sustainability is in a lot of aspects. So there is one thing that I discovered about myself recently, is that I might use, let's say, reusable items, but I do have 10 out of them and I only use one. So overconsumption is an issue, especially with like the capitalism system that we live on today, the huge production, and people just want to benefit. So each day you might find a good deal of a thing that you want. You have a thing, for example, a phone, and you just find a new deal and you just go for it, just because you can. So overconsumption is an issue. Yeah. So also using, for example, reusable bags. So using reusable bags itself is not sustainable unless you use it multiple times, because the production of this material, let's say cotton or reusable plastic, it has higher carbon footprint than the single-use plastic. But when are you being sustainable? It's when you reuse this reusable plastic, let's say 50 times, then you're making an impact to the environment. So using sustainable materials itself without reusing it might not be sustainable. And since Saeed is sharing stories, I might share a story here. So when I was a child, my dad, I don't know if he's watching now, my dad is an art teacher and he's an artist. And he was collecting all the things that could be reused. For example, if we use a paper roll and we're done out of it, he wouldn't allow anyone in the house to throw it in the garbage. He reused this carton. If we eat, for example, a potato chip, Pringles, he wouldn't allow us to throw it. And my mom was so mad at him, just throw it in the garbage, we don't want garbage. So he would collect those and he would make masterpieces or art pieces out of those waste things. And until recently, I just realized this is sustainability. This is recycling. We just didn't name it before. So now we have a structured way of sustainability, but sustainability, going back to it, it's a way of thinking. It's self-being. So when you meet new people and when you consider people around you, what are they doing, you just keep learning new things about sustainability in several aspects.
Absolutely. I want to ask a few questions for all the panelists. How do you think social enterprise and sustainability are connected, since all of you are like in the same two fields? Who wants to take this answer?
I can take that answer, especially that currently this year's Y20 and the youth employment track, one of the major focuses is to advocate for social enterprises globally. Here in Saudi Arabia, we have a really not very well-known definition of a social enterprise. A social enterprise could be a private business that's actually contributing to the society, but it's not non-profit, but it's not fully private business. So what we're trying to do as a global youth community, we're trying to push for more regulations, more funding, and more understanding most of all. The adaptation of an idea could make a big difference in the future. So if you think about it, any social enterprise in a community can elevate that community. And one of the examples or the policies that we're focusing on is to push these social enterprises in rural and remote areas in a country, and actually empower them by the government, by the NGOs, and if the private business want to chip in, that would be a very nice contribution from them. But the idea of having a social enterprise in a remote area or a rural area is to empower the people from that area to turn their, for example, village into a city, and to turn their unemployment to employment, and to teach them through this social enterprise. So social entrepreneurship is going to be a big thing in the future because of the flexibility that it has, the adoption of ideas in the community that it can take. For example, you can open a social enterprise that's focusing on climate change. You can open a social enterprise focusing on mental wellness while doing something totally for profit.
I have another question. Anecdotal evidence would tell us that young people care more about sustainability than older generations. Please don't quote me. This is something from the internet. Why do you think this is the case, if this is the case? Yeah, please.
I think you just provided us a bit of insight with your father being an artist and reusing and recycling, not really thinking of it as sustainability or being, eco-friendly. I think in the past, it was more of value. It was driven by values and culture and religion, right? Not to waste. Waste is not, it's not min akhlaq al-Muslim in a way, right? Yeah. So I remember put as much as you need on your plate, and if you cannot finish it, feed it to the bird or the cat. I didn't think of it as sustainable. It's just being a good person, human being, right? But now, as we grow, we think of, let's not throw it in the garbage because that's going to stink. And if that stinks, then methane and all of that is just not going to help the environment and the impact. So we know the scientific reasoning behind it. But I think it's all interconnected. Now it's just forming, it's evolving. The belief and value is evolving into scientific, and we're acting accordingly. So maybe thanks to our parents, we have the values, and thanks to the education system today and the awareness, we can act and we understand, we have the awareness. Yeah.
So I would really like to hear what the audience has to say about some of the topics. So here's your chance to ask questions. Who would like to go first?
Okay. Yes.
Please go ahead. Yeah. Your name?
Yes, my name is Ali Al-Bagshi. I have graduated from King Faisal University. Honestly, what you do, guys, is very awesome. So I feel encouraged by the things you are doing. And I actually have a question for you, Naji, about your project, which is Spinviro. It's a really catchy project. I just want to know, the impact. What impact has it left so far? And another question, it's related to it. What are your plans for expanding, in locally and globally?
اوكي بخصوص الامباكت التاثير اللي نحن سويناه حاليا زي ما قلنا نحن سوينا موقع حاليا جالسين نشتغل على كود موقع بس في نفس الوقت جالسين نشتغل على gathering the people في المساحات في التويتر. الحمد لله جبنا أشخاص شخصيات كبيرة، جبنا ناس من مرشحين في الكوب 27 في شرم الشيخ وهو رئيس التنمية اللي هو Sustainable Development. I don't know if it's in English. هو أحمد السكنيدي جبناه عندنا. جبنا ناس برضو شخصيات هنا في السعودية زي مثلا عندنا دكتور عبهري معروف في جامعة طيبة، أستاذ درس في قسم الأحياء. جبنا كمان Head of Department of the Poisoning اللي هو أستاذ رامي. جبنا برضو طلعنا برضو للإمارات، جبنا شخصية في الإمارات بخصوص تتكلم عن التوبيك اللي هي الانترست. فحاليا نحن في السبيس تبعنا إنه نجيب الناس اللي هم مؤثرين في سواء عندنا في السعودية أو في العرب ريجن، لأنه لاحظنا من ناحية السستينابيلتي المحتوى في السستينابيلتي مرة ضعيف، فنحن ركزنا على المحتوى العربي أكثر. فحاليا جالسين نشتغل على سبيس، مساحات من مواضيع، نرسلها بوسترات للجروبات، أي أحد interested للsustainability تعال عندنا اتكلم في أي موضوع أنت مهتم فيه له.
Also, I just have a question. If anyone's interested and want to join SpinViro, how is the procedure?
ممكن تقدر بعد البانل ديسكشن ممكن انه نرسل لك كيف تسجل. اي احد كمان عنده بروش سبين فارو راح يعلموكم كيف ممكن تنضموا لفريق سبين فارو، لانه نحن فعلا نحتاج ناس من سواء محتوى سواء مبرمجين، اي احد يحب يتطوع في انيشيتيف تعالوا، نحن مرحبين في كل اي احد في اي جامعه من الجامعات. We are diverse team by the way.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Question here. Your Highness, yeah.
تفضل اسمك.
اسم محمد المقوشي. أنا موظف في سافك وإن شاء الله حبدأ مع كاوست as a master student هذا الفول. First of all, I would like to ask, to thank actually the panel for the discussion and inspiring words and stories. And thank you, Your Highness, for moderating the talk. I have two questions actually. One about you as leaders, and the other one about maybe us as people who are looking for opportunities. So I'll start with us. What do you say to someone who feeling overwhelmed with all the initiatives that are happening around them and feeling the famous fear of missing out on all of these? Is it something that a real thing and that maybe you have experienced? Or is it maybe just imaginary? We need to let it go at some point. And then for you as leaders, how do you see yourself giving the leadership to the next in line for new generation? I know maybe it's early to say that, but maybe we wake up one day and we are part of the other side of change and policymakers. So how do you see this view? And feel free to jump in and answer it. It's not a specific questions, it's based on your experiences individually. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That question hits very, very close to heart. First of all, you're living in Saudi, and Saudi currently, as I see it, is a place of opportunities, open opportunities. When I graduated with a chemical engineering degree, I was 23 years old. I worked as a chemical engineer until I was 27. And then I was at the same time applying for programs that did not fit my background, but fit my passion. Did not fit my certification, but fit my drive. And I got rejected. I got rejected more than 50 times from so many programs that I thought that I'm going to perform very well at. But my resume did not serve me, my background did not serve me. But I kept going, I kept writing, I kept drafting. I remember drafting a policy for representing Saudi in the Y20 in 2019. And I got rejected. And let me tell you something. In 2019, I submitted that draft, and I wanted that opportunity so bad to MISC Foundation. I got rejected after the interview, and I understood that, okay, I'm a chemical engineer, maybe I don't fit that role. In 2021, I guess, last year, or the year before, when was Ignited Voices? Last year, right? Yeah. I got contacted by MISC Foundation asking me about that policy in 2019 that I drafted from my office in the manufacturing in Jubail, in an office that's very small. I was drafting a policy about youth empowerment. And they asked me, are you still interested in representing Saudi Arabia 3 years later? And I said, yeah, of course. And they told me there's this program called Ignited Voices. Do you want to join? And I actually said yes. And we joined that program, 50 individuals. And let me tell you something. We talked about fear of missing out. We talked about the imposter syndrome. We talked about so many things that you young Saudis are feeling. And I cannot tell you how much you need to try your best to actually follow your passion, because one day someone's going to look at you, one day someone's going to empower you, and one day in Saudi especially currently, our young leaders, our vision, and who we are nowadays, you're going to be seen. And you're never going to miss out, even if you're, I think, 40 years old or 50 years old in Saudi, because there are people who are working diligently to transfer our country to a continuous development, continuous educational pathways until the day you leave this earth. And let me tell you something. There are so many opportunities. Don't lose hope, especially in Saudi Arabia.
Thank you, Saeed.
Can
تفضل فاضل.
Yeah. So I want to answer also your first question, and I think it's a very valid point that you brought to the table, that each person has a specific field, and he might feel the FOMO, the fear of missing out with this sustainable trend. You always hear sustainability, climate change is coming, because it's no longer a choice, as I said. It's a tipping point. When we reach in the future, we're not going to reach. So in Saudi Arabia, as Saeed say, with the vision now, you're going to have the opportunities. Just start from yourself, start from the within. And there's a story I want to share. Like, I never imagined to participate in the United Nations climate change conference ever before. And I was just an attendee to a conference just like this in Riyadh. It was called Saudi Green Initiative. I asked the question, just like you, in one of the workshops. And after the conference, I was contacted by an organization called Uyun Collective. It was owned by Princess Noor and Princess Masha'al. They told me, you seem interested, you seem passionate about sustainability, so can we get your contact in future collaborations? Then they reached me out. We nominate you as the only student from KAUST to participate in Glasgow in the United Nations Conference. Out of a sudden, I didn't see it coming unless I believed in myself and in my passion. This is something I want to do. So you're not going to miss out. You're going to reach there. Just keep the faith. And
Small steps, I guess, right?
Definitely. Let's go back to how you phrased the first sentence. Us and you as leaders. Please don't. Because honestly, we're not us and you, and we're all here leaders. Leader is just you deciding that I am a leader. I said I am a leader. I am a leader. Really, no one's going to tell you you are a leader today. You're going to tell them you're a leader today. So embody that. You are a leader today. You have something to say. Even if it's wrong, you're going to say it. They're going to tell you, oh, you're wrong. You're like, oh, tell me why I'm wrong. They're going to tell you why you're wrong. You're going to know you're wrong. You're going to get better. So you learn, you grow, and your leadership grows, and who you are as a person will grow, and your impact will grow. So I think we're all leaders. It just makes me uncomfortable to think I am something and you're something. But I do hope that we pass on the knowledge. And I think that's why I focus on education, because I love human beings so much, and I think we have so much value to add, and we all happen to be on this planet, if you think about it. And we're trying to figure it out, and we're trying to create systems, and we're trying to thrive, and we're trying to work together. And we all have narratives and stories and challenges, and how awesome is this, right? So
Absolutely.
let's kind of dig into that a bit more.
Thank you, Ragad, for the impressive comments. I think we have one more question. تفضل.
So my name is Sabah Al-Khaldi, and I am from the second cohort of Ignited Voices. So I'd like to first thank these young panelists and also our moderator, Princess Abir. My question is, how can we introduce sustainability when it comes to consumption and waste to our families and friends? I hope any of you to answer this question. Thank you so much.
You want to go ahead?
That's a great point you brought up to the table, how to transfer the knowledge you have to the people surrounding you. And it's totally a challenge. And I believe the change should start within the youth generation, because you're a role model for the people who are younger than you. And as Ragad said, our educational system should involve such activities, not just things that are brought in the classroom that are taught, you should be sustainable. don't waste your food, recycle the things that you use. We should make it something practical. So when you do something, there's something called like role model. You could be qudwa for something else, right? So you can make the most impact in the younger generation and in the generation next to you. So you can spread your word, you can behave like this. Simple example, when you walk in the road and you stop for a while to throw your plastic water bottle, your friends could ask you, why did you do that? You could have just thrown it in the street. You're not that cool of a guy. So you could defend yourself. You could say, I'm aware of my behavior and I don't want to harm the environment. This could make them think twice. Okay, maybe he's right. Maybe we're hitting a point where our planet cannot sustain us anymore and it would hit back on us. So having this belief in your actions, not being shaky, is what's going to make this change. Like, just be who you are, believe in what you do, and people around you will follow you. That's what I think is.
Absolutely, absolutely.
One comment, I think you need to also utilize the collective mindset narrative. In Saudi, we love to have some collectivism of some sort. So dismantle the science, normalize some certain habits, and if people saw you doing something, if they saw some benefits out of it, they're going to follow you, and you're going to inspire them to do the same. So utilize these also. Just dismantle the science, normalize, and talk in general, language, not very sophisticated scientific knowledge, especially to the older generation who are not very connected to science, for example, or the younger generation who did not, got to scientific, definitions yet.
Thank you, Saeed. Thank you, Fadl. We'll take our final question before we wrap up. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you, everyone. I just wanted to touch upon something Ragad mentioned early on about how sort of the approach of urgency is not, it can be debilitating, it can be soul-crushing for us as youth. So I wanted to ask all of you, how do you sort of reach that balance with external forces that sort of are more negative, maybe statistics that are true, but sort of are, cause us to not want to act. How do you sort of navigate that and push through with a sort of sense of hope and all of that? So yeah, I just wanted to know your perspective.
I love these questions a lot. So I think the way I go about it, I've learned to love myself and be very mindful of how I speak to myself and what narrative I tell myself. Because we can absorb in so much information, but then what do you do with that information? What narrative do you tell yourself? You production, right? The story of my life. And I just chose to have the best one. I was like, I'm going to have the best story here, as, I'm just going to live it. So whatever I see, sometimes I'm like, it's good to know about this, but what can we do about it? So I just take the lead sometimes, and then I realize the lead that I took, someone took before me, and oh, so that's good. Other people are thinking similarly. So it's just reminding yourself that you could lead it, you could do something about it, and it's all about the narrative you tell yourself. So yes, the statistics are not very hopeful and not very motivating at times and very frustrating, and they are crucial for us to listen to them. I'm not saying don't listen to that. Listen to that, but how can you turn that frustration into hope by saying, I know what role I can play to change this. And I know by playing this role, I am contributing to changing that. So just get into your role, right? I guess, maybe.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ragad. Tfadal, Fadl.
Yeah, I think you mentioned the point that 70% of our generation is young people. So we are the youth. If we believe that we're going to be in that place where we're going to be the policymakers, we're going to change this narrative. We're going to change these statistics in 10 years. So we're talking about Vision 2030. Who's going to be the leader in 2030? It's us, the 70% of the population. So we'll be empowered, inshallah, in the future to make this change, to make this pessimistic statistics into something more optimistic, hopefully, inshallah.
Thank you, Ragad, and thank you, Fadl, for your comments. It seems that we are all out of time. Fadl, Riyuf, Ragad, and Saeed. I'm so grateful that you have taken the time out of your busy schedules to participate in this panel. Your words have been enlightening. I appreciate deeply the work that you have all done for this planet and for the kingdom. Your minds are incredible. Hearing your ideas, I feel confident that 10 years from today, many of our concerns about sustainability would be alleviated. I am also cognizant that when experts like you express a more pessimistic view of things, the impetus is on all of us to listen and act. You have all achieved so much in your lives already. I know that I am not alone in saying, though, that it seems your best days are still ahead of you. Whether you are launching your own organizations or working with established world-class teams, you have shown us that you know what it means to think outside the box and to give difficult questions and the consideration and reflection that they merit. We will all be watching your careers eagerly. Thank you all. Thank you to all of you in the audience as well. Your role is equally fundamental to these experts. Although they are doing the initial work by puzzling through these questions and conducting their own research, it is our shared responsibility then to pick up where they leave off. Researchers, academics, and thought leaders will only take us so far. I ask that all of us in attendance ask what we can do as well. How can we take these words and thoughts seriously? What can we do to prove that we care about sustainability as much as we would like to claim we do? I'll leave you with this question to ponder on. Do you just want to merely be alive, or do you want to thrive? Can we please get a big round of applause for فاضل المختار, ريوف ناجي الشاعري, رغد فتح الدين, and سعد بزرون. You have all been so engaging in your answers and so generous with your time. Thank you again to all our 4 panelists. Thank you.
Mike. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. تفضلي. تفضلي. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. شو عندكم قاعدين؟ خلصنا؟ No? We're not finished? Okay, yes, we're not. I guess you're all waiting to know who won the poster competition. Yes? Maybe? Excited? I don't think you're excited. Yes, I need to hear engagement. Excellent. Okay, so Fatima and I will be here. We'll have the honors to announce the winners of our poster competition.
Yeah.
Do you have the results?
I think. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Sorry. I think we'll have someone move the chairs. Okay, so until they get that done, how was your experience so far? We're coming towards the end, خلاص. Did you like it? Was it good? Do it again?
We can't hear you.
You can't? No, they can. Okay. So can I have the names? Yes. Okay, so we have 3 winners, obviously, for the posters. But in addition to our 3 winners, we also have 2 posters or initiatives or projects that were really good, that we believe they also deserve an honorable mention. Shahadat Sharaf, because they do stand out from the rest. So, yes.
They were all impressive projects, and even the judges said it was really difficult to judge. So we were very fascinated. A lot of people, even from UNICEF, wanted to connect. They want to have copies of these initiatives because they want to reach out to you, and from other programs as well. So indeed, this was an amazing journey, and we're very amazed by your work overall. Like, you're all winners, and go ahead.
It's just symbolic. At the end of the day, we hope that you managed to get connections, managed to get support for your ideas, and you managed to share your ideas and improve them together. So, without further ado, we'll start with the first honorable mention, which is presented to...
Drum, please.
Drum roll. Oh. Spendvero. If you're from Spendvero team, please come on stage. Yes, and the entire team, تعالوا. You can give it to me. خليها هذه. Okay, Spendvero team. Congratulations, good job. Excellent. Here? Okay, they removed this table. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Okay. So our second honorable mention, Shahadat Sharaf, goes to, can you have a drum roll again, please? Towards a healthier and more sustainable diner. Where are you? Yes, Zulma and Natalia, welcome. Congratulations. Thank you.
Okay, we will start with the third place. Please, drum.
Drum roll.
Third place goes to المخلفات الإلكترونية. Second place with Umar.
Nervous? Okay, you need to give me a minute for this. It's long. Sustainable and eco-friendly coral restoration through 3D printing and fabrication. استاهل. ألف مبروك. You can stand here. Have a little photo. Yeah, it'll be fun. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Okay, so now we're coming to the first place. Okay, the heartbeats are rising. Heartbeats are rising. The pressure. The pressure.
First place.
Okay, can we have drum roll, please?
Earth Life.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
It was amazing. You can come here for the picture. Yeah. Yes. Okay, so with that, we're coming towards the wrap-up of our two-day journey together. We hope we enjoyed the first and inaugural SYS conference. This could not have been possible without our great sponsors from KAUST. We have the Office of the Provost,
Graduate Affairs,
Office of Cultural Enrichment and Engagement,
the Strategic National Advancement,
and KAUST Office of Sustainability. We also have the Facilities Management team and the KAUST Media team. So a lot of teams were involved in this. And if we say thank you to everyone, it will take us the entire day because honestly, there are many, many people. But there are a few people who really stood out and we couldn't have made it without them. On top of it would be Ms. Abir Al-Jahani, Mariam Al-Khalifa,
Ms. Lamis Bangeta,
Dr. No, they're not coming on stage, we're just thanking them.
Dr. Samia Filippan,
Dr. Anna Margarita, and we also have John, Mark, Shabaz, Shafral,
so many people.
Ahmed Al-Ghamdi, and our amazing team of volunteers. Give it up for the volunteers.
And also for the board member of SYS, in the top of this, Iman.
Our president, Iman Al-Hajji.
Omar Abid.
Thank you. And Fatima Abdul Hakim.
Zulma and Natalia, Bashir.
And Philip.
And you, the change makers. Thank you so much. And Naif Al-Malki also.
And Dr. Lina Ayuni.
Yeah.
طيب. I think we did everyone. صح? So, can we have all the volunteers come on stage? All the volunteers, تعالوا. يلا, let's take a group picture. يلا, يستاهلون. Where? Yeah, all the volunteers, please come on stage.